Beginning with a gentle golden wind and light rain, the master of ceremonies, with a single stroke, surprises the world. This video is purely for entertainment, and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting, and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 951, Gaini and Wei Zhuang, a joint attack. Liu Boyan suddenly felt a breath behind him. He was shocked, and turned around in a hurry. But when he turned around, a palm suddenly appeared above his head. The palm radiated golden light, and there were thunders in the light. A giant Buddha appeared in the thunder, raised his palm, and fell towards him. A sense of extreme danger broke out in his heart. The fierceness in his body was also stimulated by this danger. His eyes turned red and his body began to become abnormal. The upper body robe was shattered, and the exposed skin showed dense red hair. The hair was like steel needles, emitting cold light. His face began to change. His normal teeth also protruded, looking very ferocious. His arms also became thick, giving people the feeling that he was changing into a fierce beast. Roar. A low roar came from his mouth, like the roar of a fierce beast, deafening. What is this? Seeing this situation, Wei Dongjin and Li Hanqiu's faces changed. They didn't expect Liu Boyan to have such a change. Transformed into a fierce beast. Li Hanqiu was shocked when she saw this. Buleo Tang, beast god cult, what do they want to do in this world? Li Hanqiu couldn't help thinking in her heart. Boom. While she was thinking in her heart, Liu Boyan roared and punched out with his thick palm. His arm spasmed violently, and terrifying power rushed out. The air trembled under this fierce fist, and a thick air wave burst out, heading towards the palm of Li Wuxi. Bang! The two forces collided violently, and a violent roar broke out. One after another, the fist power spread out in all directions at the place where their fists and palms collided. The people around them kept retreating to avoid being swept away by the air wave. Interesting. Li Wuxi showed a smile on his face, and a powerful force suddenly appeared in his falling palm. Not one, but several power fluctuations. Waves after waves flowed into the opponent's fist through his palm, and then rushed into the opponent's body like a tide. Suddenly, the blood and ki of Liu Boyan's body churned, and he felt like he was going to explode. His face turned red. Ah! Bang! He screamed, and then with a bang, he turned into a blood mist. Li Wuxi's strength was further improved after he resisted the thunder. After killing Liu Boyan with one blow, he looked at one side with a cold look and said, "Old man, I know where you are. Come out." Hearing this, Li Hanqiu and others looked condensed. From Li Wuxi's words, there was another person hiding in the dark. Li Wuxi. Rumor has it that the strongest hall master of King Blanhu. After Li Wuxi's voice fell, a figure walked out of the dark. It was Elder Song of the Buleo Hall. Boom. When Elder Song walked out, the young man who was fighting with Gaini and Wei Zhuang had several dark needles in his hand and quietly came out. Under the moonlight, it was impossible to see clearly. Ding ding ding. But it was blocked by a sword, and the sword turned, and the several dark needles were instantly pulled towards the pale young man. The speed was even faster than when they came. Swish. When the dark needles returned, Wei Zhuang's figure was like a ghost, approaching the opponent, and the shark-tooth sword in his hand burst out with all his strength. The sword light flowed, and the sword slashed away like flowing water. The speed was so fast that it seemed that the swords were drawn at the same time. What a fast sword. The pale young man, with his hands folded, kept colliding with the sword light, and his eyes were flashing with strange colors. But then the murderous intent appeared. A layer of green light appeared in his hands. The light carried the power of corrosion, and he shouted in his mouth, "Divine power, sky blow lock shadow." After blocking Wei Zhuang's long sword, he slapped his hands with palm power, instantly covering Wei Zhuang. The green energy in his palm was like a long rainbow. Seeing this, Wei Zhuang avoided his figure and retreated behind him. But when he retreated, a green light appeared in the opponent's eyes, and a green light appeared on his whole body. When the green light appeared, his attack speed increased instantly. The palm of his hand turned into a claw instantly. The energy flowed between his fingers, emitting a cold light, and he grabbed towards Wei Zhuang's head. The speed was so fast that only a green claw shadow could be seen. Compared with others who chose the power of the beast, he chose speed. In his mind, as long as the speed was fast enough, he could kill the opponent before the other party could react. His speed was fast, but it was not only Wei Zhuang who was fighting with him, but also Gainey. Gainey's figure suddenly approached, and the long sword in his palm was slashed out instantly. The sword light was like mercury, attacking the opponent. Ding. The long sword collided with the claw shadow. The pale young man's expression changed. He attacked so quickly, but was actually blocked by the opponent's long sword. If you want to die first, then I'll send you to death. The attack was blocked by the long sword in Gainey's hand. The pale young man's face changed and he shouted. The green light on his body became more and more brilliant, and his figure moved towards Gainey. His palms turned into claws, vaguely turning into wolf claws, and moved towards Gainey with sharpness. I'm still in front of you? Across the 8 directions. At that moment, Wei Zhuang spoke, and the shark-tooth sword in his hand chopped down directly with terrifying gravity. This attack showed great power. The sword energy was crisscrossed, leaving him no chance to leave the battlefield. Seeing this, the pale young man could only resist. Ding. The palm collided with the sword energy, and a shock force came faintly. The opponent's sword power was very strong. He was stunned. Being suppressed by such a force, he could not play the speed advantage for a while. Cut. Just as he was thinking in his heart, suddenly all the sword energy in Wei Zhuang's body burst out, and all the terrifying power poured into the long sword. Cut out with a sword. This sword was like a galaxy falling down, with a sword energy that was like a raging wave. The pale young man's expression condensed, and the strength of his body was condensed in his palm. His 5 fingers stretched out, and the energy flowed in his palm, grabbing the long sword. At this time, Gainey took action, and seized the opportunity to stab out with a long sword in his hand. The sword light, in an instant, was like a stream of light, not giving people a chance to react. When the palm and the long sword intersected, swish, Gainey's long sword penetrated the opponent's Qigong and stabbed the opponent's throat. Raw. But when piercing the opponent's throat, the opponent retreated violently and let out a low roar. The throat that was originally pierced began to quickly condense scars. At this moment, a shadow appeared behind the opponent. It was the shadow of a blue giant wolf. The giant wolf looked up to the sky and howled. One claw grabbed out. The terrifying claw shadow emerged. Not good. Vertical and horizontal alliances. Gainey saw the change in the opponent and his eyes condensed. Wei Zhuang moved and appeared beside Gainey. 100-step flying sword across the 8 directions. At this moment, the 2 men launched a joint attack, and the long sword slashed out. Suddenly, 2 dragon shadows, one black and one white, burst out from the long sword. The dragon roared, shaking the 4 directions. It directly shattered the attacking wolf claws, and then roared, and the dragon shadows crossed, and instantly bombarded the huge wolf shadow. Bang! The wolf shadow was shattered, and a pale-faced young man emerged. His body flew backwards, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Whoosh! At this moment, Wei Zhuang moved his feet, and his body appeared next to the opponent's retreating body. The long sword slashed out, and with a swish, the opponent's body was split in 2. Chapter 952, Powerful Killing, the Dragon Leader of Qinglang Society. Plop. 2 bodies fell to the ground. Blood gushed out, and in the blink of an eye, a pool of blood formed around the 2 bodies. Wei Zhuang and Gainey fell to the ground. This man's strength is a little weak. Wei Zhuang's long sword fell to the ground. His face was indifferent, and the previous battle was actually a little unsatisfying. You 2 just restrained him a little. The elder Song didn't say anything, but the old man surnamed Zhang who was confronting Qiao Feng spoke up. He confronted Qiao Feng, but didn't fight. He observed the battle just now. Gainey and Wei Zhuang's strength was both at the top of the sea of concentration, but the 2 of them joined forces, communicated with each other, and cooperated with each other to restrain each other's moves. And the power of the last 2 people's bombardment was also terrifying. Although the strength of the 2 people did not surpass the sea of concentration, the combined power of that sword had already surpassed the sea of concentration. Look at Elder Song. This time they have been completely defeated. If the battle continues, I'm afraid there will be no chance of winning. Li Wuai's strength is very strong, which gives him a very terrifying feeling. Moreover, the Qinglang society may have a backup plan, so they are in a bit of danger. Kill that Cao Feng. When he looked at Elder Song said, Cao Feng's strength is at the broken level. From what happened just now, the opponent did not have items to block the Shaman key, and the use of the broken level power is limited, so there is a chance to kill Cao Feng. Hearing Elder Song's words, the elder's eyes condensed slightly. Although he obeyed Elder Song, it was not a complete subordinate relationship. After I go back this time, I will help you apply for a drop of second-class divine blood. A voice transmission sounded in the ears of the elder. Hearing Elder Song's voice transmission, the elder's expression moved. He had absorbed the second-class divine blood and knew its power. For a drop of second-class divine blood, he would take action. Looking at Cao Feng with murderous eyes, he moved his feet, and an extremely strong and fierce aura burst out of his whole body. Bang! His shirt was shattered. He looked like an ordinary old man, but his muscles began to bulge. Golden flames burst out from his body. When the golden flames came into contact with the air felt like it was burning. Divine power, great sun red flame body, the elder shouted, and burst out his divine power. However, his divine power was different from others. Instead of being released externally, his divine power was integrated into his body to strengthen his physical strength. When his divine power burst out, a golden beast shadow appeared in his body, and golden flames flowed on the beast shadow. For a moment, this area was as bright as day. In an instant, everyone felt that they were under the terrifying red sun. Their whole bodies were hot, steaming, and a burning and stinging feeling appeared on their bodies. Boom. Many people burst out with ki to resist the burning heat. However, Cao Feng, who was in front of the elder, looked calm. He himself was also practicing this kind of fierce technique, not to mention that his body had become extremely strong under the tempering of the blood of the wild dragon. One move will determine the outcome. Looking at Cao Feng, the elder said, "You are very unusual. You don't show your fierceness." Cao Feng looked at the other person and said, "Compared with other people, when the power fluctuates, and the power of the divine blood is used, fierceness will appear." But this old man suppressed this fierceness. The old man surnamed Zhang did not reply to Cao Feng's words, and his aura was gathering. The fierceness in him was not aroused, because he could suppress it in a short time, but he could not suppress it if he used the power for too long. This is why he made a full strength attack. Boom. The old man surnamed Zhang stepped on the ground, and the whole ground collapsed. His body began to become burly. He kicked his body and the whole person flew into the air. He punched out with his fist. The fist was like the sun. There was a golden animal shadow in the sun. It covered the sky and a punch fell. Cao Feng's divine power burst out, but this time his divine power did not leak out, but gathered around himself. He raised his palm and punched out. An ancient and vast aura emerged from his fist and burst out. This aura. Seeing this, Elder Song, who was watching the battle, had a look of doubt on his face, while he was confused. On the other side, the elder's eyes were cold and fierce, with a hint of anger in his eyes. Cao Feng was too arrogant. He only used divine power, but did not burst out fist power. This was a bit of contempt for him. But when his fist collided with the opponent's palm, his expression changed. A huge force burst out from that palm. It made his arm tremble. The terrifying golden flame swarmed out, trying to burn Cao Feng's palm. But under his blazing flames, Cao Feng's palm did not change at all. His terrifying blazing flames did not cause any damage to the opponent. "Your flame has no effect on my palm. I'm sorry to disappoint you," Cao Feng said coldly. "You." Seeing this, the elder's expression changed, and he quickly retracted his fist. When he retracted his fist, Cao Feng's palm suddenly changed into a claw, and one claw went towards the opponent. The claw came out, and a dragon claw appeared. The old man surnamed Zhang's expression changed, and his whole body's true energy surged. He punched out, and the true energy surged out. But under the dragon claw, the true energy that burst out collapsed directly. The old man surnamed Zhang's expression changed. His figure retreated rapidly. 5 hells, true fire. The old man surnamed Zhang shouted in a low voice, and the flames that burst out from his palms turned into 5 huge mountains of fire, and hit the dragon claws. However, under the dragon claws, the 5 huge mountains of fire collapsed instantly. Qiao Feng's palm was fused with a piece of hand bone of the wild dragon, and these flame forces could not resist his dragon bones at all. The 5 hells true fire was crushed, and the dragon claws fell. At this moment, the old man surnamed Zhang roared, his eyes changed, and a layer of scales appeared on his body to match his flesh. Boom. When the scales appeared on his body, the dragon claws fell on his body. Ah! The old man surnamed Zhang screamed. His chest was scratched through by the dragon claws. When scratching through the opponent's chest, a terrifying suction force appeared on the dragon claws. The blood and energy of the old man surnamed Zhang seemed to flow into Qiao Feng's palm like a tide. In the blink of an eye, the old man's body shrank like a mummy. All the breath on his body disappeared, and his body fell to the ground. Seeing the miserable state of the old man surnamed Zhang, the expression of Elder Song changed, and his eyes were horrified. He knew that the old man surnamed Zhang was a little weaker than him, but not much weaker. But now he was killed by Qiao Feng's claw. Your hand bone. He looked at Qiao Feng and asked. No comment. Qiao Feng didn't like to reveal his trump card. A piece of hand bone of Huanglong. This is not a simple thing. Once it is spread, it will probably set off a wave. Is there anyone else coming from your Bu Lao Tang? If not, then I will send you on your way. Of course, if there is a stronger one, I think our great dragon chief will come out to meet you. Li Wuai looked at Elder Song of Bu Lao Tang and said. Big dragon head? Hearing the meaning of Li Wux's words, the big dragon head of Qinglang Society was in the dark. For a moment, not only Elder Song was surprised, but even Li Hanqiu and Wei Dongjin, their expressions changed. Chapter 953. I haven't seen him yet, but I know his power. Li Wuxi is attracting thunder from the sky. Li Wux's words were somewhat shocking. The great dragon chief of the Qinglang Society? This person has never appeared, but it is undeniable that there are many forces that want to know him. Now it is said that this person is in Jinling City and is still here. How can it not be surprising? In this case, then please ask your great dragon chief of the Qinglang Society to come out and see him. Elder Song looked at Li Wuxi and said, you still want to see our great dragon chief at this time? Really not, I can kill you. Li Wuxi looked at Elder Song and said coldly, you. Hearing Li Wuxi's words, Elder Song's face sank. This Li Wuxi really looked down on him at all. He frowned slightly and glanced around, trying to find something, but he didn't notice anything. He was extremely shocked in his heart. He couldn't detect a trace of breath. The other party's strength must be extraordinary. I always thought that the great dragon chief of the Qinglang Society was a big shot, but I didn't expect that he didn't even dare to show his face. Elder Song said coldly. The most common provocation, of course, is to test the meaning of Li Wuxi's words, to see if the head of the Qinglang Society is really here. You want to see me? A very clear voice suddenly sounded. Along with the voice, the world suddenly became silent, and the surrounding air seemed to begin to change. The air flowed, and the breath that flowed out turned into drizzles. The drizzle was slightly cool, very peaceful, without earth-shattering power, and no terrifying energy fluctuations. At this moment, the people around only felt that the signs around them had changed, and a chill that filled the soul was still appearing in this tranquility. This is spiritual, and has been imprinted in the depths of the soul. Suddenly, at this time, the originally quiet air began to change, and a thunder sounded, so the heart trembled, the eyes were horrified, especially the Elder Song, whose soul was hit by thunder, and the whole person trembled. A sense of extreme danger emerged. The divine blood that was fused in his heart began to spread out in his body, and began to burst out without his control, stimulating the blood in his body. This, Li Hanqiu, who was beside Qiao Feng, suddenly shrank his pupils. Transformation? It's almost completed, right? How could it be? How could people here cultivate to this level? Li Hanqiu had reached this level before, so she naturally knew what this was like. But reaching this level in this world shocked her. Qinglang Society? In her mind, she once again elevated the status of Qinglang Society, and she absolutely could not make them her enemy. Boom. While she was thinking, the body of Elder Song from the Gileo Hall began to change, and hair began to grow all over his body. His entire body began to change, and his palms turned into sharp claws, but his head did not change and remained normal. In an instant, he seemed to have turned into a standing half-orc, emitting a terrifying and murderous aura. The aura spread out in all directions like a tide, trying to change the surrounding aura, but this burst of murderous aura seemed to be swallowed by the surrounding aura and blended into this environment. In a state of extreme panic, Elder Song's instinct to sense danger as a ferocious beast made him change like this. "Don't you dare to come out!" Elder Song from the Gileo Hall roared. When he roared, the aura disappeared. Li Wuxi stepped in front of Elder Song. "Your strength is not worthy of a great dragon head. I will kill you today." Li Wuxi's voice rang in Elder Song's ears. At this moment, without the suppression of the aura, Elder Song roared, and the violent and fierce aura on his body surged towards the surroundings. Boom. Just when the violent aura on his body was raging, Li Wuxi's aura burst out, and the terrifying true energy surged wildly, and his own strength was actually constantly improving. In a blink of an eye, it surpassed the concentration in the sea. Boom. Between heaven and earth, the gate of heaven appeared again. Thunder quickly gathered. "Are you looking for death?" The thunder of the gate of heaven appeared, and the face of Elder Song of the Gileo Hall changed in front of Li Wuxi. He didn't expect Li Wuxi to burst out his strength, and he felt a kind of horror in his heart. This world was built by the Thunder Emperor, and the thunder was also transformed by the original power of the Thunder Emperor. The Thunder Emperor killed countless alien races in his life. The blood they merged was called divine blood, but it was actually the blood of fierce beasts and demons. If they were attacked by the thunder on the shaman, they would be blasted into slag by the thunder. The figure wanted to retreat, but at this moment, Li Wuxi raised his hand. The palm was raised. Boom. The thunder and lightning on the shaman instantly fell and hit Li Wuxi. "I just realized the power. I don't know if you can block it," Li Wuxi shouted, and grabbed the falling thunder in his hand. Then he exerted force on his palm, and the falling thunder, like a dragon, turned into a long dragon, and attacked Elder Song. Elder Song's face changed rapidly. The fierce aura on his body quickly converged, and the divine power on his body burst out, and a dark true energy burst out. The immortal divine fist. A punch was thrown. Boom. Above the fist, like a huge bell, a terrifying energy was emitted. Collided with the huge thunder dragon that was charging forward. Suddenly, the fist force exploded in the air like fireworks and dissipated into nothingness. Then the thunder dragon hit the body of Elder Song. "Ah!" Elder Song screamed, and then lightning flashed all over his body. Bang! In a few seconds, his whole body exploded and turned into nothingness under the lightning. His strength is average, at most the top level of sea concentration. Without the power of divine blood, there is no need to worry. Li Wuxi shook his head as he looked at Elder Song, who was turned into nothingness by lightning. Then he looked at the shaman. There was no change in his aura, but he did not go to the shaman. He just stood there calmly, as if waiting for the thunder to hit again. What is this? What does he want to do? The people present looked at Li Wuxi in horror, not knowing what Li Wuxi wanted to do. Boom. Thunder and lightning appeared above the shaman again, and this time the power of thunder and lightning was extremely terrifying. Then a huge thunder fell like a rainstorm, covering Li Wuxi's entire body. Everyone was shocked. Is he looking for death? Li Hanqiu looked at Li Wuxi, who was covered by lightning, and asked Qiao Feng beside him. Although Qiao Feng knew what Li Wuxi was doing, he shook his head. No breath. Wei Dongjin on the side said. He could not sense any breath in the lightning. That is, Li Wuxi was killed by lightning. Soon, the thunder disappeared, and the courtyard returned to peace. On the ground, there was a figure burned by lightning. Seeing this scene, Wei Dongjin couldn't help but look towards Wei Zhuang of Qinglang Society. But he saw that Wei Zhuang and the others had no change in expression. He was slightly shocked. At this time, Li Hanqiu's pupils opened wide, because the burned Li Wuxi lying on the ground suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were unusually bright, and then his figure slowly stood up. He showed his white teeth and said, "The power of thunder has increased, but the injury is not as serious as last time." Chapter 954. There are experts in the black market. Unification of the black market is in progress. Li Hankyu and others were extremely shocked by this situation. They didn't expect that Li Wuxi would use his body to resist the thunder of Xianmen. Although he was injured, he was fine. Palace Master Wei, that is Bei Zuanming, the lord of the black market. You go and deal with him. From now on, we are friends. Li Wuxi suddenly turned his head and looked at Wei Dongjun. Bei Zuanming, the disciple of Qianqin Elder, came with Qianqin Elder. His master, Qianqin Elder, was killed by Cao Feng. Bei Zuanming couldn't stay either, so Wei Dongjun made a pledge of surrender. Hearing this, Bei Zuanming, who had been inconspicuous all along, changed his expression drastically, turned around, and was about to escape. Want to leave? How is it possible? Wei Dongjun would not miss this opportunity. He kicked the ground with his foot and shot out instantly, punching behind Bei Zuanming. The fist was like a dragon, covering Bei Zuanming. Bei Zuanming, who was fleeing, changed his expression drastically, turned around, and his divine power burst out, and a thunderous aura appeared behind him. Divine power, Jilui Shenshin, a shadow of mountain range appeared in the emerging thunder, and lightning flashed on the shadow of the mountain range. Heavenly Thunder Mountain Fist. Boom. Bei Zuanming punched out, and the thunder on his fist turned into a mountain, forming a thunder mountain, and attacked Wei Dongjun of Yama Palace. Although Bei Zuanming was the disciple of Elder Qianqin, he was also the current controller of the black market in Jinling City. His strength was naturally not weak. Now that Wei Dong wanted to kill him, he would of course burst out with all his strength. The thunder mountain collided with his fist, and a terrifying rumbling sound broke out. Bang! The two figures retreated at the same time. I'm the controller of the black market in Jinling City. You can't kill me. Bei Zuanming stabilized his body, and beads of sweat fell on his forehead. He had to find a chance to survive. It's so unlucky that I was cheated by my own master. Bei Zuanming thought to himself. He felt that this matter was unreliable. He had persuaded his master Elder Qianqin before, but his master didn't listen at all and came anyway. Well, he has ruined himself and implicated him. The black market owner, there is no problem with you or me. Wei Dongjun stepped forward, his aura surging out. Although he seemed to be hasty in his attack just now, he was easily blocked by the other party, which made him a little unhappy. You killed my master, and then killed me. My uncle can't contact us, and will definitely come out. At that time, you will meet a terrible opponent. Bei Zuanming said. You are my uncle? Qianqin's elder brother Du Xianai, is he in the black market? Hearing Bei Zuanming's words, Wei Dongjun said with a serious expression, my uncle has been in the black market. Bei Zuanming said. As long as I return to the black market and contact my uncle, my life can be saved. I must find a way to let me return to the black market. Come out, my Kinglan Club doesn't care. Kill you, we, Kinglan Club, will take over the black market, and then kill your uncle. I really want to see the strength of your uncle. Li Wuxi said coldly. How could they let the survivors escape when they had already started fighting? Boom. Wei Dongjun moved and appeared in front of Bei Zuanming, slapping his palms, and a terrifying force swept out. Seeing this, Bei Zuanming's expression changed drastically, and the power of his whole body burst out. He immediately slapped his palms, and the terrifying lightning palm print went towards Wei Dongjun. Bang! In this fight, the lightning in Bei Zuanming's palm was shattered by the terrifying Huangquan True Ki. He groaned and flew backwards to the ground, retreating continuously, with blood churning and puffing. A mouthful of blood spurted out. He wanted to move, but he only felt dozens of terrifying Huangquan True Ki appearing in his body, and his meridians were in great pain. He didn't expect that Wei Dongjun, who seemed to have violent power just now, still had such a means to take the opportunity to rush into his meridians. The ki in his body circulated, trying to dissolve the ki in his body, but Wei Dongjun would not give him a chance. He flashed and appeared in front of the opponent. He raised his palm and instantly poured all his strength into his arm. A terrifying ki burst out from his arm. Then his palm was like a knife. He slashed with a knife. A terrifying ki burst out. Bei Zuanming's face changed drastically. He could feel the fierceness of this ki, and a surging yellow spring sea appeared in his mind. In the yellow spring sea, a ki rolled in. His mind was shocked. He bit his tongue suddenly. The severe pain made him sober up. He raised his arms, crossed them, and roared. Kai kai. Thunder and lightning burst out all over his body. His shirt burst open, revealing spasmodic muscles, and his body turned into a burly man in the blink of an eye. And the lightning key was wrapped around his body. Boom. The Yama Palace Wei Dongjin's hand knife hit the opponent's arm heavily. Bang. There was a sound of bones breaking in Betty Zuanming's arm, and the whole body flew out. Die. Wei Dongjin shouted, not giving Betty Zuanming any chance to survive. He moved his body and appeared in front of Betty Zuanming. Boom. He slapped his palm, forming a terrifying vortex, and slapped the opponent's body. At this moment, Betty Zuanming didn't have time to resist, and was slapped on the chest by Wei Dongjin. Puff. Betty Zuanming spurted out a mouthful of blood, and fell to the ground. You, my uncle will definitely avenge us. Betty Zuanming roared. But what greeted him was Wei Dongjin's palm, which fell on Betty Zuanming's head. Bang. The head exploded, and blood spurted out. Palace Master Wei, Master Li, and Boss Cairo, I hope to come to the black market, King Lan Club, to have a chat when I have time. We'll take our leave first. At this time, Wei Zhuang stepped forward and said, Wei Zhuang is one of the 7 dragon heads of King Lan Club. Although he ranks 7th, he is also the dragon head of King Lan Club. It is normal to send an invitation. We will definitely visit. Wei Dongjin's face showed joy. This time, he was able to establish a relationship with the King Lang Society, and this trip was worthwhile. As for the Buleo Tang, this organization now advocates the blood of God so much, I'm afraid there will be big moves next. Contacting the King Lang Society is also an extra guarantee. Li Han-Qiu also bowed and said. The group of people then left here. After everyone left, some figures appeared here. The battle just now attracted many people, but the aura was too terrifying, so they did not dare to approach. They only appeared after the aura of the battle disappeared. Seeing that the original manor had become a ruin, and the corpse without a head lying on the ground, everyone was shocked and left quickly. What is going on here? They still know. The 4 major evil sects, the master of the evil god palace, Liu Boylan, hosted a banquet for the other 3 major evil sects. It is rumored that he has the intention to unify the evil sects. Now it seems that he has failed, and he has also played himself to death. The news was sent out quickly, and Chen was also the first to know the situation of the battle. The Immortal Hall, the Blood of God, the Beast God Cult. It seems that something big is going to happen next. Chen also saw from these situations that something was not normal. There is actually another expert in the black market, but I don't know if he can be Shen Lang's opponent. Chen muttered. Since he has become an enemy of the black market, he must take down the black market in one fell swoop. Chapter 955, Sword Demon Dugukyubei, the strongest sword master. Boom. At this time, a thunderbolt suddenly flashed outside the window, followed by the continuous rumbling of thunder between heaven and earth. Thunderbolt, it seems that the sky is not peaceful. Chen came back to his senses and looked out the window. Crackling. Bean-sized raindrops fell from the sky, forming a heavy rain for a while. Chen closed the window, returned to the bed, half lying on the bed, and looked at the lottery cards on his body. In one day, Chen only got 2 orange lottery cards. It's a bit too little to get lottery cards in this way. He sighed in his heart, but still drew these 2 orange lottery cards. Get the character Sword Demon Dugukyubei. Get Gigu's skills. Exclusive characters Gaini and Wei Zhuang. See this? Chen's pupils suddenly changed. This time he actually drew the Sword Demon Dugukyubei, who can be said to be the strongest master in Jin Yang's novels. He only heard of his name, but never saw his existence. This time he actually drew it. Immediately check the strength of Sword Demon Dugukyubei. Half a step into the realm, with the body of the Sword Demon, all the power of the Sword Demon body burst out. The strength is comparable to the virtual realm. Seeing this Chen, his eyes condensed. When Yan Kuang to burst out with all his strength before, he had the power comparable to the virtual realm. The three realms of the realm of transformation, the realm of emptiness, and the realm of truth. The full burst directly reached the second level. From this point of view, although the realm of Sword Demon Dugukyobe is now half a step into the realm, even if he does not burst out with all his strength, I'm afraid that ordinary masters of the realm of transformation are not his opponents. It's powerful, but there seems to be a limit in this world. Are they going to let them go as soon as they come? Chen thought in his heart. People like Sword Demon Dugukyobe might feel uncomfortable in this world. If they are born and perceive the situation in this world, they might think of going to the Heaven Gate. As a martial arts master, knowing that there are stronger people above the Heaven Gate, they must think of leaving through the Heaven Gate. However, Dugukyobe's strength should be the strongest among the 10 great sword masters. Then he looked at Gigu's power. This time, he didn't pass it on to one person, but to 2 people, that is, half to each person. If it was only passed on to one person, perhaps one of them could reach the realm of half-step transformation. Transformation is a self-perception, not something that can be achieved by deep power. However, with half of Gigu's power, the strength of the 2 people can only reach the broken level at most. In this way, the strength of Kinglan Club in Jiangnan has taken another step forward. Start leaving the city tomorrow? Let's see how Xianfei arranges it. Chen thought to himself, closed his eyes, and began to rest. At this moment, in a secret room underground in Jinling City, 2 figures were standing in it. One was wearing a red robe, and the other was wearing a brown robe. Both of them wore masks on their faces. Song Liang failed. The head of Kinglan Club is in Jinling City, but he didn't show up. The one who killed Song Liang was Li Wuxi, the strongest hall master of Kinglan Club. This person caused the thunder to kill Song Liang, and was hit by the thunder. It is rumored that he was injured, but the specific situation is unknown. The man in the black robe said, Tingzhou failed, Jinling City also failed, Kinglan Hu caused us a great loss. The man in the red robe spoke. His voice was a little low and hoarse, and people felt depressed when he spoke. But they killed the old man Qianqin, and they had a grudge with Du Xianai. Du Xianai has been dormant in the black market for so many years, so he should have some background. Should we contact him? Now is our chance. If we unite with him, we may be able to severely damage Kinglan Hu. The man in the brown robe said, our goal is to take over the black market and open up the black market in the whole Jiangnan. Du Xianai is very ambitious at this time. We have to be wary of him when we cooperate with him. This time, let him fight with Kinglan Hu, and both will suffer losses, or when he is in a weak position, we will take action. Force him to join our Buleo Tang. In that case, our interests will be maximized. The man in the red robe said, is that so? Then I will keep an eye on the situation in the black market. If there is any problem, I will notify you immediately. The man in the brown robe said after thinking for a moment. Wait, what is the current situation of Yama Hall and Tomb of the Dead, one of the 4 evil sects? The red-robed man asked, when the brown-robed man was about to leave. The brown-robed man just mentioned the Azure Dragon Society, but not the Yama Hall and Tomb of the Dead. According to the information we have received, these 2 forces should be close to the Azure Dragon Society. It is worth noting that Cao Feng, the leader of the Beggars sect, is the deputy leader of the Tomb of the Dead. His strength has broken through the sea of concentration and reached the broken level. The brown-robed man said, broken level? How can such strength be related to the Azure Dragon Society? Pay attention to this Cao Feng. If they leave Jinling City, notify me and I will go to see this Cao Feng. The Beggars sect has a large number of people. If we can subdue them, it will be very beneficial to us. The red-robed man said, I will help you keep an eye on Cao Feng. I will notify you as soon as there is any news. The man in the brown robe said, and turned to leave. The remaining red-robed men did not stay in the secret room for long, and turned to leave. Black Market. Kinglan Hu Base. I wonder if you can provide some information about Du Xianai. Wei Zhuang said to Li Hanqiu and Wei Dongjin. I don't know much about this Du Xianai, but Palace Master Wei should know more. Li Hanqiu shook her head. She escaped here and knew very little about the things here. Wei Dongjin has been in charge of Yanluo Palace for so many years and knows more than her. Du Xianai was an old generation of strong men before Emperor Zhao became famous. He founded the Jiangnan black market. At that time, he was called the Lord of Black Demon. He practiced a very strong magic skill called Black Demon Dapper. This skill is extremely domineering. As long as you are covered by his black demon energy, your true energy, blood, and flesh will be devoured by the other party. I don't know much about other news, Wei Dongjin said in a deep voice. Hearing Wei Dongjin's words, Wei Zhuang's eyes condensed slightly. Although he knew very little information, the other party's practice was so complicated that it could be seen that the other party's strength must be terrifying. It seems that we have to find a way to force the other party out. Such a person in the dark is very disadvantageous to us. I will go to see the big dragon leader first to see his arrangements. Jinling City is in a bit of a turmoil now. You may as well stay at my Qinglonghu base, Wei Zhuang said. Hearing Wei Zhuang's words, Wei Dongjin and Li Han Qiu's eyes lit up. I'm afraid that there are more than just Elder Song from the Buleo Tang. There must be others. And there is also Du Xianai in the black market. The strength of these people is terrifying. If they leave the Qinglonghu base, I'm afraid the other party will find them. With their current strength, I'm afraid that only Qiao Feng is not in great danger, so it is safest for them to stay at the Qinglonghu base. Thank you very much, 7 dragon leaders. The two hurriedly thanked. Chapter 956. Provoking and forcing him to show up. At this time, the news of Bei Zuanming's death spread quickly in the black market of Jinling City, causing an uproar. Bei Zuanming was the master of the black market. Once he died, the black market of Jinling would inevitably be stirred up. In the black market, in a dark pavilion, a fat man kept turning the walnut in his palm. You said this is our chance. He looked at the scholar in the green robe in front of him and said, Master, this is our chance. Bei Zuanming's death is related to the Qinglong Society. The next step of the Qinglong Society is definitely to take over the black market. If we surrender to the Qinglong Society at this time, when the Qinglong Society controls the black market, it will definitely clean up the black market again. At that time, our black paper building will definitely be able to make further progress. The green-clothed scholar in front of him said. But if we surrender to them like this, the other party may not necessarily agree with us. The fat man said in a deep voice. Master, we have a letter of surrender. Don't you know where the founder of Jinling Black Market, Du Xianai, is? That man is the senior brother of Old Man Qianqin. Old Man Qianqin and Bei Zuanming are dead. The Qinglong Society and Du Xianai have become enemies. If the Qinglong Society wants to control the black market, Du Xianai must not be alive. We will tell them where Du Xianai is. I believe this is exactly what the Qinglong Society needs. Master, there is no time to lose. Once someone tells the Qinglong Society about this news, we will not be able to provide any useful information if we go to surrender. The blue-clothed scholar said. I'm just worried. The Qinglong Society may not be able to take down Du Xianai. Du Xianai was the founder of the Jinling Black Market. His strength is terrifying. The fat man said in a deep voice. I have studied a lot of information about the Qinglong Society during this period. They are absolutely domineering. Since they have made a move, they are absolutely sure to deal with Du Xianai. The blue-clothed scholar said. Brother Tong, this is a gamble, I'm afraid. The fat man said worriedly. Master, the changes in the martial arts world this time may be more cruel than before. We must make a choice, otherwise, we may not be able to escape this martial arts crisis. We must take a gamble. The blue-robed scholar said. Hearing the words of the blue-robed scholar, the fat man's expression moved slightly. They are doing black market business, so they naturally know what the current situation of the martial arts world is. Okay, I will go to the Qinglong Club in person, and you stay in the black paper building. If someone comes to me, you can help me block it first. The fat man said, after thinking for a moment. Yes. The blue-robed scholar nodded. Not long after, a figure wrapped in a black robe left the black paper building. In another cave in the black market, it was very simple. A man in a grey robe was sitting cross-legged on a stone platform with an uncertain aura around him and a sense of nothingness. Suddenly, a black figure walked in from outside the cave and saluted the man on the stone platform. The man sitting cross-legged suddenly opened his eyes, with a look of age in his eyes, showing that he was very old. My lord, Lord Qianqin and Beli Zuanming are dead. Does this matter have something to do with the Qinglang Society? The visitor said with a bow. From the visitor's words, we can know that this person is Qianqin's senior brother, Du Xianai, the founder of the Jinling black market. Hearing this, Du Xianai's eyes flashed coldly. You said that junior brother Qianqin and Zuanming are dead. What's going on? How is it related to the Qinglang Society? There was not much fluctuation in his tone. My lord, Liu Boylan, the palace master of the evil god palace, contacted Lord Qianqin, hoping that Lord Qianqin would help him unify the four evil sects. The reward he offered was divine blood, and they also said that they would help Beli Zuanming unify the black market in Jinling City. Lord Qianqin previously guessed that Liu Boylan was behind the Buleo Tang. I went to investigate, and Beli Zuanming died at the hands of Wei Dongjin, the lord of the Yama Palace of the four evil sects, and Lord Qianqin died at the hands of Cao Feng. As for the people of the Buleo Tang, none of them left alive. Now I, Wei Dongjin, and Cao Feng and others are in the base of the Qinglang Society. The visitor bowed and said, Buleo Tang, divine blood, what are they trying to do? Du Xianai frowned. From his expression and words, the other party was more concerned about the Buleo Tang, and didn't care too much about the Qinglang Society. Buleo Tang, there should be people in Jinling City. Find them, Du Xianai ordered. Then my lord, how about the Qinglang Society? The visitor asked. Wei Zhuang from the Qinglang Society is here to visit. Please come out and have a chat. At this moment, a voice rang out in the cave. Along with the voice, a terrifying sword energy burst out and swept towards the cave. Boom. The whole cave felt like it was collapsing. This is forcing him to come out and see me. My lord, I'll go kill him. Seeing this, the black-robed man in front of Du Xianai's face sank and said immediately, I didn't expect that. I didn't go to trouble them, but they came to see me first. It's just right to collect some interest first. You go and kill him. Du Xianai, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone platform, had a cold look in his eyes, revealing a murderous intent. He originally planned to go to the Qinglang Society's base in person, destroy the Qinglang Society, and announce his return. But he didn't expect that the Qinglang Society would come to him first. And he provoked him like this. The man in black robe received the order and instantly headed out of the cave. When the black-robed man left the cave, three figures walked out of the darkness. You guys go out and help too. Du Xianai ordered. The three of them headed out of the cave at the same time. At this moment, outside the cave, because of the appearance of Wei Zhuang from the Qinglang Society, many people from various forces in the black market gathered at once. Did the Qinglang Society really come to trouble this guy? But it's a bit arrogant to only come with Wei Zhuang. Shouldn't it be Wei Zhuang alone? Just now there was a big fight outside. You all know that the Qinglang Society leader is in Jinling City. Do you think the Qinglang Society leader is stronger, or the one inside? That one is the founder of our Jinling black market, and a legendary figure. Some people discussed. They were still guessing when the Qinglang Society would move, but they didn't expect that they would not waste any time at all, but would act directly. How dare you come to the master's mansion to cause trouble? I will kill you with one palm. In the cave, a man in black robe flew out and slapped out with one palm. The thick black true energy condensed in his palm and went towards Wei Zhuang like a raging wave. This palm was powerful and covered Wei Zhuang's whole body. Just as his palm was about to hit Wei Zhuang, a cold light flashed in Wei Zhuang's eyes. The long sword in his hand was instantly unsheathed, and the whole person moved his feet, holding the sword and killing. The sword energy tore through the air and slashed at the black true energy. The black true energy was instantly cut open, and then the sharp sword energy slashed at the black-robed man. Seeing this, the black-robed man's expression condensed, and a black aura appeared around him. Bang! The sword energy slashed on the aura. The black-robed man came quickly, and flew back quickly, hitting the rocks outside the cave. The rocks shattered, bringing up a puff of dust. After a successful attack, Wei Zhuang shot out, and rushed towards the opponent, raising his long sword to slash the opponent under the sword. You dare. Three fierce shouts appeared, and the three people who followed attacked Wei Zhuang at the same time. Divine power, Black Sea Tide. At this moment, the black-clothed man who collided with Wei Zhuang, not caring about the blood on the corner of his mouth, let out a low roar and burst out his divine power. A dark tide appeared and pressed towards Wei Zhuang. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 957, Sword cuts the person who comes, shocking everyone. The divine power cooperated with the other three people, trying to kill Wei Zhuang in one fell swoop. But Wei Zhuang ignored the attacks of the three people and slashed down with the long sword in his hand. The sword came out. The sword light was violent, and the huge sword light tore through the opponent's divine power. What? The man who attacked, his face changed. He didn't expect Wei Zhuang to ignore the attacks of others and attack him with all his strength, and even cut his divine power with a sword. The divine power was broken, and suddenly he had an extremely terrifying sense of danger in his heart. Black tide fist flow. In this sense of danger, he roared, burst out with all his strength, and punched. The power on the fist exploded, the surrounding air exploded, and with the black true energy, it formed a sea wave, blocking the sword energy that was slashing. Bang! The sword light collided with the fist power. The fist power was directly chopped and exploded by the long sword, falling at a very fast speed, and with a swish, the sword light disappeared. It was just at the moment when Wei Zhuang's sword light slashed. The attacks of the other three had already reached him. They only saw Wei Zhuang showing a sneer at the corner of his mouth, and his figure turned into a residual shadow and disappeared. Boom. The three forces attacked where the residual shadow was, and the ground exploded, forming a huge deep pit. You are still a little slow. Wei Zhuang appeared on the side, looking at the three people who attacked with a cold look in his eyes. The long sword in his right hand was placed on the ground, and the sword energy on his body was surging. His current strength is different from the previous battle with the evil god palace master. Humph. Red flame finger. When Wei Zhuang spoke, suddenly, one of the three people attacked, raised his finger, and a dim red light shot out instantly. Wei Zhuang raised the long sword in his hand, and chopped it simply. The long sword collided with the red light. Bang. The two forces collided, and an amazing breath fluctuation broke out. At this moment, the person who attacked earlier was still standing after Wei Zhuang's sword light, but under this power fluctuation, his body was split into two. Blood sprayed. The spectators were shocked. They thought that the person who had attacked had blocked Wei Zhuang's sword, but they didn't. He was killed by the other party's sword. It might be that the sword light was too fast, so the other party's body was not immediately split in two. You are looking for death. Seeing this, the person who had attacked earlier was furious. He stepped on the ground and the whole person exploded like gunpowder and disappeared in an instant. The next moment, the person who attacked appeared in front of Wei Zhuang with an astonishing heat wave and slapped his palm with a terrifying heat wave. Cut. But when he attacked, Wei Zhuang also drew his sword. The sword light shattered the terrifying heat wave. Tiger roar, dragon roar. At this moment, a figure suddenly roared. Roar. Suddenly, the terrifying sound wave shook the air and merged with his own true energy. Suddenly, a dragon and a tiger condensed and rushed towards Wei Zhuang fiercely. Heaven and earth yuan kill. The other person suddenly disappeared in front of everyone. When he reappeared, the figure was already in front of Wei Zhuang. He slashed with the long sword in his hand. The sword light merged with the space and disappeared as soon as it was slashed, as if the sword had not been slashed. Block. At this moment, two figures appeared around Wei Zhuang. One of them slashed with the long sword in his hand, and the sword produced thunder. In the thunder, there was a torrential rain. This rain was not rain, but pure sword energy. Thunder rolled in the sword rain, shaking all directions. Boom. In this thunder and sword rain, one or two lightning bolts suddenly appeared. The lightning went towards the dragon shadow and the tiger shadow. Bang. Bang. Under the lightning, the dragon shadow and the tiger shadow exploded, and the power of the sound wave disappeared instantly. As for the other side, A figure appeared, with a graceful figure, swung the long sword, and slashed towards the void. Block. The disappearing sword energy was blocked by a long sword. That's Zyokyushu. That's Gaini, the sword master who appeared before the evil god palace. He and Wei Zhuang teamed up, and killed the people from the Undying Hall with one sword. Zyokyushu, wasn't he with Zhu Zhengwo in the 9 northern counties? Why did he come to Jinling City? Is the headquarters of the Qinglang Society in Jiangnan? Some people were discussing. Some of the situations of the previous battle between the 4 evil sects were also spread. Will your master not show up? If he doesn't show up, you alone are no match for us. Wei Zhuang looked at the person in front of him with cold eyes. While speaking, Wei Zhuang did not stop the long sword in his hand, and slashed it out with a very fast speed. The face of the person fighting with Wei Zhuang changed, and he wanted to dodge, but found that he was locked by the opponent's sword energy. With his eyes fixed, he could only punch. At the same time as punching out, a shield of ki appeared around his body. Boom. The long sword collided with the fist, and the sword energy fell on his fist, and his fist was immediately covered with blood. A pain came from the palm of his hand, and he immediately retracted his fist. The long sword did not stop, and slashed into his protective ki. Suddenly, half of the protective ki was directly shattered, and the ki on the other side also shattered. Bang! The sword ki slashed on the opponent's body. The body was directly slashed and flew backwards, and the top was torn, revealing a dark golden chainmail. It's just one sword, and you can't block it. It seems that I overestimated you. Wei Zhuang looked at the person who was slashed and flew away, with a look of disdain on his face. At this moment, the people watching the battle in the black market all looked solemn. The strength of Wei Zhuang, the head of the 7 dragons of the Qinglang Society, was previously rumored to have just entered the divine power, but in the previous battle, someone sensed that Wei Zhuang's strength had reached the top level of the Sea of Concentration. But now from this situation, it is not the case at all. Wei Zhuang's strength vaguely surpassed the Sea of Concentration. Your strength. The man who was slashed flew, blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were a little stunned. This sword will kill you. Just as he spoke, Wei Zhuang's figure had moved. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of him. The face of the man who was killed suddenly changed, and he wanted to move his body. Swish! The sword flashed, and the head was cut in half. There was no scream. The head was protected by mail, and was not cut open. I'm really disappointed. I thought the strong men under the founder of the black market would surprise us. Wei Zhuang said with a mocking tone, after killing the other party. The voice was not loud, but everyone heard it clearly. This Wei Zhuang's strength is quite strong. It is completely different from the information. He is hidden deep enough. I said that the 12 Hall Masters of the Qinglang Society are so fierce. How can the dragon head be worse? Some people imagined it themselves. Of course, the scene in front of them had to make them imagine it. After all, if there is a breakthrough, how can such a realm be reached in such a short time? At this moment, the scene became silent. The 2 people confronted Gaini and Zyokyushu, looked at each other, and were horrified. You will die too. At this time, Zyokyushu raised his hand, and the long sword came out. The sword energy was filled with thunder and thunder. Seeing this, the man clenched his palm into a fist, and raised his right arm. Devil, blood fist. Boom. A punch was thrown. It was like a hammer that broke the sky. The void shook, and the terrifying fist force with bloody demonic energy rushed out, and the sound it made was like the roar of an ancient demon god, which was soul-stirring. Facing this punch, Zyokyushu's face was calm, and his clothes fluttered under the sword energy. The sword energy around him all poured into the long sword in his hand. In an instant, Zyokyushu's whole person merged with the long sword in his hand, and he slashed with the sword. The sword came out with a thunderous sound. Rumble, rumble, the sword light slashed out, and suddenly the ancient demon god roared, and disappeared under the sword energy, and the terrifying fist force was like paper in front of the sword energy. A sword that shocked the sky. A sword that shocked the sky. This is Zyokyushu's sword. Chapter 958 Dushianai appears, the Black Devil's heavenly blade. Swish. The sword light shattered the bloody fist force, and enveloped the person who made the move. Ah. The person who made the move was enveloped by the sword light, screaming, then roaring. All the strength in his body surged out, trying to resist the falling sword energy. Swish, swish, swish. But the sword energy was sharp, and the demonic energy that burst out quickly dissipated under the sword energy, and finally drowned out the screams. After the sword light, a corpse covered with blood fell to the ground, and the face could not be seen clearly. In an instant, the whole audience was shocked. Such a shocking sword, showing absolute power, easily crushing the opponent. King Lang-Hu is just like what they do, either don't come, or you want you to die. Strong and domineering. It seems that King Lang-Hu will become the master of this black market from now on. Some people thought to themselves, although the black market has always been controlled by many forces before, there is still an uncrowned king behind it, that is, the one in the cave. Only Gainey was left to confront the man holding the long sword. The man holding the long sword had a flash in his eyes. The situation was completely beyond their expectations. The opponent's strength was beyond his imagination. It was a bit difficult for him to deal with one person, and he was no match for 3 people. Master, when will you make a move? He thought to himself at this time. Don't worry, if you can defeat me or kill me, you can leave safely. Gainey looked at the man holding the sword and said calmly, Wei Zhuang and Zhao Qiuyushu killed people in succession, which also aroused his fighting spirit. What you said is true. Hearing this, the man holding the sword said with his eyes moving. He couldn't beat 3 people, but he had some confidence in beating one person. Because his attack method was different from the other 3, he was good at attacking and attacking with hidden body shape. Of course, I, Gainey, will not take back what I said. Gainey looked at the other party, dressed in white, and his aura revealed a domineering aura of a swordsman. While he was speaking, hearing Gainey's words and the sword energy that burst out from Gainey, the man holding the sword had a violent and bloodthirsty luster in his eyes. Boom. A terrifying energy appeared on his body, boiling around him, and then poured into the long sword in his hand. Divine power, hidden in the sky. He shouted, and a black airflow appeared, darkening the surrounding space, and at this moment his figure merged into the darkness. Disappeared in front of everyone. Blood moon sky slash. At this time, a low voice echoed in the surrounding space. Then, a scarlet sword energy like a full moon appeared in the air. As soon as it appeared, the darkness was filled with blood, like a bloody purgatory, with a faint sound of terrifying roars. Gainey's eyes were calm. The long sword in his hand slashed out. The sword light was fast, and the sword slashed on the blood-colored sword energy, and the blood-colored sword energy instantly shattered. When the sword energy broke, Gainey kicked the ground with his foot, and immediately flew towards a place, slashing out with a long sword in his hand. Swish. The space was cut open, and a figure appeared from it. How did you find me? The figure that appeared was full of surprise. You were affected by the death of others. You are not satisfied, and there is a flaw. While speaking, Gainey's figure flew into the air, and stabbed the opponent with a sword. The speed was so fast, that it was like a meteor. Slash. The figure that was forced out slashed with a sword. Clang. The long swords collided with each other, making a clang sound, but suddenly Gainey's long sword, like a spirit snake, bypassed the opponent's long sword, and in the blink of an eye, swish, in a flash, the long sword pierced the opponent's throat. The long sword was retracted, blood sprayed, and fell to the ground with a plop. At this moment, the black market strongmen who were watching were silent. The 4 men under Du Xian'ai died just like that, and they looked at Gainey. Previously, Gainey and Wei Zhuang jointly killed one person, but from the strength shown now, there was no need to join forces at all. This is to paralyze the enemy. It seems that the Qinglang Society had the idea of moving the black market before. Everyone looked at the cave. His men were killed, and Du Xian'ai should have appeared. Boom. Just as everyone was discussing, suddenly a terrifying murderosaur filled the air. Everyone was shocked and looked at the entrance of the cave. A figure appeared at the entrance of the cave. Step out. The murderosaur became stronger with every step the figure took. I haven't appeared in the world for many years. Have people in the martial arts world forgotten me? The voice was flat, but it shook the 4 directions. Boom. When his voice fell, a terrifying demonic aura spread from his body. Some spectators looked at this demonic aura and retreated quickly. They had all heard of Du Xian'ai's black magic. Du Xianai was called the Lord of Black Magic because of the black magic he practiced. Just as everyone was retreating, the black demonic energy suddenly rushed out and instantly enveloped Wei Zhuang, who was closest to him. Wei Zhuang, who was wrapped in the demonic energy, looked confused, as if he couldn't believe that he was just enveloped by the black demonic energy. Seeing this, the expressions of the people watching the battle changed. They didn't expect Wei Zhuang to be enveloped by Du Xianai's black demonic energy in the first moment. Being enveloped by the black demonic energy, the chance of survival was taken away. However, Du Xianai, who took action, felt depressed and didn't have the slightest joy. Snap. Just as everyone was shocked, Wei Zhuang, who was enveloped by the black energy, collapsed instantly, shattered like a mirror, and was just a phantom. Du Xianai, the Lord of the Black Demon, is really not simple. Take my sword. Wei Zhuang's figure, like a ghost, was on the side of Du Xianai and slashed with a sword. The sword energy burst out, the momentum was overwhelming, indestructible, and countless sword energy was rolled up to envelope Du Xianai. HMPH. Du Xianai snorted coldly, just turned sideways and punched out. Boom. 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 The long sword collided with the opponent's fist and intertwined with each other. Suddenly, the violent sword energy and black demonic energy swept around. Some caves around collapsed directly under this force. Countless waves were also set off in the surrounding air, and the rumbling sound was deafening. The Lord of the Black Demon, the founder of the black market, is really powerful. Wei Zhuang's eyes condensed. He just made a move, not just one sword. After one sword, he slashed several swords, but was easily smashed by the opponent. Your strength is at the broken level, and my men are not wrong to lose. Du Xianai received Wei Zhuang's sword move, and had seen the opponent's strength. He was a little surprised. Hearing Du Xianai's words, Wei Zhuang stepped back, and appeared next to Gaini. The people watching the battle were shocked. Although they had already guessed it in their hearts, they were still shocked when they heard it. With such strength, he can definitely leave through the Xianmen. However, even if your strength breaks through to the level of shattering, how many times can you use it? But I'm different. I have the black demonic technique. The black demonic sky devil knife. In an instant, Du Xianai's aura surged, and he directly broke through to the level of shattering, emitting a sense of the devil coming to the world. His aura burst out, but it did not trigger the gate in the sky. Seeing this phenomenon, many people were horrified. In the horror of the crowd, Du Xianai clasped his hands together, and the terrifying black demonic energy surged out, turning into a huge blood-killing long knife. A terrifying, domineering, and violent aura permeated. Chapter 959. Fighting. Du Xianai is not affected by Xianmen. Du Xianai, who was not affected, directly used the power of breaking. Seeing this scene, many people were extremely shocked. The power that surpassed the concentration of the sea, but the gate of heaven did not appear. The Lord of the Black Demon, Du Xianai, actually had such ability. Du Xianai, who had fully exploded his strength, was like a peerless demon god who suddenly woke up from a long time, with a surging breath. Wei Zhuang and Gaini in front of him felt an extremely strong crisis in an instant. The appearance of the Black Demon Blood Evil Knife was now a peerless evil knife in their eyes, destroying everything with one knife. This made their hearts and minds cold, and their eyes became solemn. Boom. The ki of Wei Zhuang and Gaini burst out, but did not break through the concentration of the sea, but reached the approaching point. But, at this moment, the long knife in Du Xianai's hand fell down. The knife light burst up, covering the sky and the earth. In this instant, Du Xianai fully exerted this knife, and the huge power shook the surrounding space. The air around him made a crackling sound under the blade, as if it was cut apart by the blade. An indescribable terror surged in people's hearts. Everyone felt that, if the blade was to cut them, they would not be able to dodge, and would be killed by it. It was too terrifying. Facing this sword, Gaini and Wei Zhuang were both dignified. The sword intent of Du Xianai's sword was too strong, affecting everything around them. If they had not received Gidu's power and strengthened their minds, they would probably be affected by this sword. HMPH. Du Xianai, you also take a move from my fellow apprentice brother. The sound rumbled, as if lightning swept across the earth, weakening the terror caused by Du Xianai's sword. The two of them bounced up and immediately rose from the ground and bounced into the void. The sword intent and fighting spirit on their bodies reached their peak. Boom boom, they slashed down with swords at the same time. The sword came out, and the world shook with a buzzing sound. The surging sword energy rolled out from their swords. Roar. Suddenly, two dragons, one black and one white, appeared and roared. In the blink of an eye, the two dragons rose up, and the roaring sound was accompanied by a terrifying dragon power. Their expressions were ferocious, and the thunder clouds rolled up from the sky and the earth. They rushed towards the black devil blood knife. In an instant, there was a dark sky between heaven and earth, and the two forces collided heavily. Boom. Between heaven and earth, Mirren burst out a sound that shook the earth, and the surrounding key exploded, forming a strong airflow shock wave that radiated in all directions. For a moment, the people watching the battle were shocked and felt drowsy. Some weak people spit out blood and retreated rapidly. After the Black Devil Master attacked, his breath returned to the sea, and he concentrated his mind. He looked at Wei Zhuang and Gaini, and his eyes sank. I'm surprised that you can block my attack with your combined strength. Du Shai and I looked at Wei Zhuang and Gaini with cold eyes. I will join hands with you to kill him. Just as Du Shai and I finished speaking, Ziokiashu, who was standing by, moved and appeared beside Wei Zhuang and Gaini. For a moment, the atmosphere became solemn. Previously, Wei Zhuang and Gaini were able to block Du Shai and I's attack. With Ziokiashu's words, the power would definitely be stronger. Even if you join forces, so what? Your swordsmanship is different from theirs. They are from the same school, but you are not. Even if you join forces with them, the power will not increase much. Du Shai and I looked at Ziokiashu and said with cold eyes. Although he had not left the cave just now, he could sense the difference between the swordsmanship of the three people. Gaini and Wei Zhuang, their basic swordsmanship and internal ki are the same. It's just that their perception of swordsmanship is different. And the move just now was a combined sword move. Black Demon Heavenly Evil Palm. As he spoke, Du Shai's face was filled with murderous intent. His body bounced, soared into the air, and slapped his palm. Boom. Instantly, a huge blood-colored palm appeared, with a terrifying and mighty aura, and went towards the three people. With this palm, the surrounding space began to become chaotic, and there was a feeling of being taken into it. Boom. A palm fell, and the whole space exploded. When the palm force fell, Gaini and Wei Zhuang attacked again. The sword art was just as violent, but this time the combined force was more domineering and powerful. The falling blood-colored palm collided with the two sword energies, and was shattered by the sword energy. The sword energy that shattered the blood-colored palm also whistled towards Du Shai and I. Du Shai and I's expression changed. He didn't expect that the palm he burst out would be cut open by Gaini and Wei Zhuang. He raised his hand and punched out two punches in a row. Bang, bang. The sword energy collided with the fist force, and a terrifying energy fluctuation broke out. In this energy fluctuation, Ziokiashu raised the long sword in his hand, and the power of the forgetful book in his body began to operate, and various changes appeared in his long sword. A shocking sword, Ziokiashu shouted, and slashed with the long sword in his hand. Thunder and sun. A sun appeared in the thunder, carrying the power of destruction. It slashed towards Du Shai and I, and the terrifying power made the space vibrate. Du Shai and I's eyes condensed. Shatter. He shouted, and the power on his body was raised to the level of shattering again. It collided with Ziokiashu's long sword. Bang. Ziokiashu's sword was blocked by Du Shai's fist. When he blocked Ziokiashu's sword, Wei Zhuang and Gaini had already rushed towards him, and the long swords in their hands slashed out at a very fast speed, and the trajectory of the long swords could not be determined. Black Demon Key. He shouted, and a thick black key appeared in his body, and the fist that was blasted out returned, and the fist was quickly retracted, and two punches were thrown in a row, blocked the attacks of Gaini and Wei Zhuang. But this time his body was shocked and retreated several steps. When he retreated, Ziokiashu drew his sword, and blasted towards Du Shai and I. Gaini and Wei Zhuang looked at each other, and instantly drew their swords, with the sword light covering Du Shai and I and the three of them. Du Shai and I attacked, and as he continued to punch, His aura became stronger and stronger, his long hair fluttered wildly, his robes fluttered, and the power in his body seemed to be gradually opened. Layers of black power continued to surge out of him. The appearance of these powers made Gaini, Wei Zhuang, and Xiaoqiushu feel a sense of pressure. Their own power was suppressed, which changed the speed and power of their swords. I really want to see you use the power of breaking. At this time, Du Xian'ai punched out and resisted the combined attack of the three. I didn't expect that Du Xian'ai would use such a thing on himself to affect the perception of Xianmen. At this time, the two people from the Buleo Tang appeared outside the cave. They looked at the power that Du Xian'ai burst out. The man in the brown robe said in a surprised tone. But judging from the time he took to adjust his breathing, he didn't block the heavenly gate for very long. Otherwise, he should release his power completely and force Gaini and Wei Zhuang to increase their strength to the shattering level in one go. The red-robed man said. Chapter 960. The heavenly gate appears. Thunder rages. Shenlang appears. Bang. The four figures retreated. Du Xian'ai fought three people alone, not losing at all. Boom. During the fight, Du Xian'ai roared, and the power in his body rose wildly again. The power that was previously sealed and suppressed was completely released at this moment. A demonic energy visible to the naked eye rushed out from the top of his head and rushed into the sky. Although he did not lose, who was he? He was the Lord of the Black Demon, a figure who became famous very early. He was unwilling to accept such a result, so he had to use all his strength. Boom. The space trembled. The black demonic energy swept out, shrouding the underground space with a terrifying force that made people's heart palpitate. A layer of black armor also appeared on his body, exuding a tyrannical aura. With such strength, he is about to break through. With such strength, why didn't Xianmen appear? How did he do it? Some people discussed. Let's see how you fight me. Du Xian'ai's eyes exuded terrifying murderous intent. Seeing this, Wei Zhuang and Gaini looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Their auras surged, and they faintly emitted a power that surpassed the concentration in the sea. Your power to block the heavenly gate should have a time limit, but you disappoint us a little. Your strength is not close to the transformation realm. Gaini looked at Du Xian'ai and said, although the opponent's power was strong, he was not close to the transformation realm. He had not even reached the half-step transformation realm. Humph. Hearing Gaini's words, Du Xian'ai snorted coldly, but was shocked in his heart. The opponent mentioned the half-step transformation realm, which meant that there was a half-step transformation realm master in the Kinglan Club, who might be the big dragon head. As long as I can kill you. Du Xian'ai said coldly. Boom. When his voice fell, Wei Zhuang and Gaini's power exploded, and instantly rose to the level of shattering. The shadow of the heavenly gate appeared. Boom. Thunder flashed, enveloping the entire underground space. For a moment, the entire underground space was illuminated, and terrifying thunder rolled and flashed in the heavenly gate. Bang. At this time, Wei Zhuang moved beside Gaini, and his body soared into the air. The long sword in his hand slashed towards the gate of heaven in the void. The long sword shattered the thunder in the gate of heaven. At the moment of slashing, a light flashed in his eyes. Sword lead. The long sword in his hand stirred, and the thunder and lightning that were scattered were instantly rolled up by the long sword. Cut. The sword rolled up the thunder and slashed out with one sword. The thunder dragon appeared and went towards Du Xian'ai. Du Xian'ai stepped into the air and let out a long roar. Divine power, Black Demon Sun. Boom. At this moment, Du Xian'ai burst out his divine power. Behind him, a strange black sun phantom appeared. The phantom appeared with a kind of scene of all things in the world emerging in the phantom, giving people a sense of incomparable pressure. Black Demon Sun Blade. When the divine power appeared, the demonic energy on his body rolled, and he clasped his hands together. A long sword like Black Yao appeared and attacked the Thunder Dragon. Boom. The long sword collided with the Thunder Dragon, bursting out with terrifying power. Boom. At this moment, the Sky Thunder appeared again. The second thunder in the Sky Gate was about to fall. When should we make a move? From the current situation, it will be difficult for Du Xian'ai to take down these three people. If this continues, even if the opponent is seriously injured, Du Xian'ai will also be injured. An injured Du Xianai is not of much value to us. Seeing this situation, the man in the brown robe spoke. The great dragon head of the Qinglang Society has not appeared yet. You should make a move first and force him out. The man in the red robe said after thinking for a moment. The great dragon head of the Qinglang Society? Hearing this, the man in the brown robe condensed his eyes and then looked around, wanting to see if this great dragon head of the Qinglang Society was around. No need to look for it, I can't find the other party. Seeing the action of the man in the brown robe, the man in the red robe spoke. While they were talking, Gainey made a move. His figure soared into the sky, and the long sword in his hand slashed out, and the thunder was chopped off. 100-step flying sword. At the moment, when the thunder was chopped off, the long sword in his hand suddenly disappeared. As if it didn't exist. But Du Xianai, who had just chopped the thunder dragon, suddenly felt a sword energy appear in front of him. His eyes were startled, and the magic armor on his body exploded. Bang! The long sword appeared, and hit his chest directly. In an instant, Du Xianai's body was hit by this force and flew backwards, hitting the mountain wall. The mountain wall collapsed. Rocks fell. Boom. But then a figure rushed out. It was Du Xianai. A sword hole appeared in the armor condensed by magic energy on his body, and cracks appeared around the sword hole. These cracks spread to the surroundings. At this moment, his eyes were cold, looking at Gainey with murderous intent. If he hadn't discovered the opponent's strange sword just now, he would have been pierced through the heart by the opponent's sword. Your sword just now was very strong. But how can you make the next attack? Du Xianai looked up at the Shineman. Thunder surged above the Shineman, and the third thunder was about to surge out. Rumble. The momentum was stronger than the previous 2 times. I will resist this thunderbolt. I can withstand the power of thunderbolt at this moment. At this moment, Ziokyushu spoke. His figure soared into the air, his ki burst out, his eyes flashed, and his whole body was bathed in thunderbolt, waiting for the thunderbolt to fall. He raised the long sword in his hand, and the sword light surged. The sword energy rushed up to the sky and merged with the thunderbolt. For a moment, there was a feeling of being on par with each other. Kill. At this moment, Wei Zhuang and Gainey rushed towards Du Xianai. With Ziokyushu's help to resist the thunderbolt, they didn't have to worry about the power of Shineman. Boom. The true ki in the 2 people burned wildly. The terrifying sword energy surged on the long swords in their hands. For a moment, the terrifying sword energy covered the sky and the earth, and they were horrified. They wanted to burst out their full strength and kill Du Xianai with one blow. Help. The red-robed man next to the brown-robed man spoke. The Qinglang Society is really overbearing. They attacked my old friend, so let me and my old friend meet you together. At this time, a low voice appeared in the air. When this voice appeared, Du Xianai found an opportunity. Black Demon Sunblade. Black Demon Bloodblade. Du Xianai shouted, and 2 streams of energy appeared in his palm. 2 knife shadows burst out from his palm and attacked Wei Zhuang and Gainey at the same time. The man in the brown robe also slapped his palm, and a black palm in the air was like a god or demon, tearing through the dark clouds, carrying rolling clouds, and attacking Gainey and Wei Zhuang. At this time, a cold snort appeared, and the sound was very sudden, covering the thunder. With the cold snort, the void suddenly cracked, and a white palm appeared. The palm looked ordinary, but the moment it appeared, the world seemed to be silent. Time and space seemed to be forbidden. But the big hand continued to grab the black palm. Crack. The black palm was broken in an instant under this palm. Then time and space were restored. Everyone's mind recovered. But the palm still did not stop, and fell towards a place. Boom. In the eyes of everyone, a figure flew out from there, but was knocked down by the palm strike. He fell to the ground with a thud. A mouthful of blood spurted out, his chest collapsed, his ribs were broken, and he let out a scream. If you want to help others, you are provoking me, Qinglang Society. If you provoke me, Qinglang Society, you will die. A voice came from one place. Then, a figure slowly walked out from one place. He was dressed in white, graceful, and had an extraordinary aura. It was Shen Lang, the leader of Qinglang Society. Chapter 961. Above the Azure Dragon Society, the master figure. Who is this person? Could it be the great dragon leader of the Qinglang Society? Seeing this person, some people speculated secretly in their hearts. They stared at Shenlang closely. Shenlang showed his absolute strength as soon as he attacked. He slapped the person who attacked secretly with one hand and seriously injured him. Great Dragon Leader, please tell the master that I will leave through the heaven gate first. When everyone was shocked by Shenlang's powerful strength, Xiaoqiushu, who was blocking the heaven gate, suddenly spoke, and the long sword in his hand shattered the thunder. He jumped and stepped into the heaven gate. But what he said just now shocked everyone and made people unbelievable. Master is a respectful title, which is the name of the master by the subordinates. Xiaoqiushu showed a strong strength. It can be seen that such a person is not ordinary. And his words just now also revealed a meaning. That is, that person is also the master of the great dragon leader of the Qinglang society. How is this possible? Some people were full of disbelief and looked at the heaven gate, wanting to confirm what Xiaoqiushu said. But Xiaoqiushu's figure had disappeared with the heaven gate. Having just withstood a lot of thunder, he had to step into the heavenly gate. Moreover, this world has many restrictions, and he also wanted to enter the heavenly gate to practice more strongly and improve his strength. Martial arts masters all have a stronger heart. The most important thing is that now the Qinglang Club is full of strong people, and he can go to the heavenly gate. Xiaoqiushu's figure disappeared, but the words he left behind made people feel very scared. Now that you are here, let's show up together. Shenlang seemed very calm to everyone's surprise. He could understand Xiaoqiushu leaving this world. Show up. Hearing Shenlang's words, the spectators looked at each other. I didn't expect that the dragon head of the Qinglang Club would show up in person. While everyone was observing each other, the red-robed man came out. The moment he came out, a drop of blood appeared in his hand, and he instantly shot it into the mouth of the brown-robed man who was seriously injured by Shenlang's palm. Roar. After receiving this drop of blood, the brown-robed man roared. His chest, which had been shattered by a palm strike, began to recover. His ki and blood also rose rapidly. For a moment, his strength reached its peak. I'm Jing Wuxin, one of the heads of the fifth hall of the Immortal Hall. The red-robed man introduced himself. One of the heads of the 5 halls. Many people did not pay attention to his name, but paid attention to the one of the heads of the 5th hall mentioned by Jing Wuxin. That is to say, there are at least 5 halls in the Immortal Hall. Shenlang, the great dragon head of the Qinglang society. After the other party introduced, Shenlang also made a formal introduction accordingly. I'm afraid that Shenlang Xiao's strength is close to the realm of transformation. Jing Wuxin looked at Shenlang and said tentatively, it doesn't matter whether it's close or not. What's important is that what you, the Immortal Hall, have done recently is a bit too much. Shenlang said in a calm voice, but this calmness also revealed a sharp breath that made people feel sharp. Shenlang Xiao, I wonder if this matter will end here? The red-robed young man looked at Shenlang and said. Shenlang had just made a move, and his strength was too strong, causing the surrounding atmosphere to change. Shenlang's strength must have reached the realm of half-step transformation. He was no match for him, so he thought that today's matter would end here. How can our Qinglang Club take action and end it easily? You, the Buleo Tang, have repeatedly provoked my Qinglang Club. How can you not pay a price? I think you, the head of the hall, are a good price. Shenlang's voice was flat, but a chill enveloped everyone's heart. This was not going to let the other party leave. Hearing Shenlang's words, the red-robed man's face sank. Shenlang, you are just one step away from entering the transformation realm, but after all, there is still one step away. The red-robed man said with a cold face, it doesn't matter if you are one step away, as long as I can kill you. Shenlang looked at the red-robed man and said, you are looking for death. At this moment, the man in a brown robe took a drop of blood and let out a low roar. Shenlang, I'm here to avenge you for the blow I just gave him. The man in the brown robe growled and rushed towards Shenlang first. Boom. The whole person was emitting a black evil spirit, which was wrapped around him, emitting a huge breath vibration. His eyes were not scarlet, but dark, giving people a feeling of coming from hell. Boom. The black true energy condensed in his palm, and in the blink of an eye, a black spear was caught in his hand. Although the spear was condensed by true energy, it looked crystal clear. The tip of the spear exuded a cold light and carried a gloomy breath. Die. The body moved, with very little energy fluctuation, but the speed was extremely fast, reaching a terrifying level, and appeared in front of Shenlang in an instant. Boom. The spear shot out violently, and he wanted to use his full strength to kill Shenlang, the great dragon leader of the Qinglang society, in one blow. The man in the brown robe felt that this was his strongest attack, because he had exhausted all his strength. Staring at Shenlang, he believed that Shenlang could not block his attack at all. But the next moment, the smile on his face stopped. Shenlang did not dodge, raised his palm, slapped it lightly, and bombarded the spear. Bang! Suddenly, a shocking sound rang out instantly. Whoosh! At this moment, the man in the brown robe shouted, "Explosion!" Boom! The black spear that touched Shenlang's palm exploded instantly, forming a terrifying power fluctuation. But Shenlang raised his hand and turned his palm. The explosive power was instantly absorbed by a terrifying suction force, forming a vortex, flowing in the center of his palm. This strength can't cause any harm to me. Shenlang looked at the true energy that he was playing with in his hand and said, "No, the death spear." Seeing this situation, the man in the brown robe had disbelief in his eyes. With a low shout, the true energy on his body condensed, and several black spears appeared in front of him in an instant, carrying a breath of death. Kill. These spears instantly shot towards Shenlang. Shenlang snorted coldly, and the vortex in his hand instantly became larger. He grabbed the spears with one palm. The spears instantly turned into true energy, and were absorbed into the vortex. No damage at all. The dark color in the brown-haired man's eyes became stronger and stronger, and an unusual fluctuation appeared in his body, and the power in his body began to rise. But when the energy burst out from him, the energy in Shenlang's hand turned into a spear in the blink of an eye, and was held in his hand. "Be careful." The red-robed man immediately spoke when he saw this. But when he spoke in a deep voice, Shenlang's figure had disappeared and appeared in front of the brown-robed man. The spear in his hand instantly shot out. Swish. It instantly penetrated the opponent's ki and blood, and directly inserted into the opponent's heart. Bang. The body was severely injured, and the power of the man in the brown robe was instantly stagnant. The whole person was shocked and retreated. He looked at the long hair inserted in his heart with horror. How is it possible? He didn't believe it, and raised his hand to grab the spear inserted in his heart. When he touched the spear exploded, forming a terrifying energy that poured into the opponent's body. Bang. Then the body of the man in the brown robe exploded directly, turned into a ball of blood mist. Chapter 962. The power of the domain. Invincible. Powerful killing. The people watching the battle from a distance gasped and trembled at the situation. This is too powerful. Killing the opponent with the opponent's means, and the opponent can't dodge. This is simply killing the opponent with a backhand. Although no one knows who this man in a brown robe is, he just said that he is a good friend of Du Xianai. Being able to be friends with Du Xianai shows that the opponent's strength is not simple. But now he was easily solved by Shenlang, the leader of the Qinglang Club, with a backhand move. This undoubtedly shows Shenlang's strength. Isn't it that too strong a power cannot be displayed in this world? Why is Shenlang so strong? For a while, some people were shocked and puzzled. Why is the gap between people so big? Du Xianai and the red robe Jing Wuxin, both of them changed their expressions, especially Jing Wuxin. The man in the brown robe has cooperated with him for many years and helped him do a lot of things. I didn't expect him to be defeated here today. There are only two left. Shenlang looked at Jing Wuxin and Du Xianai. I can give up the black market. What do you think? Du Xianai looked at Shenlang and said. Shenlang just showed that he was too strong, and he was not his opponent at all. He was afraid that he could not escape, so he was ready to give up the black market. Give up the black market, kill you, and the black market is also mine. Qinglang Club. You. Hearing Shenlang's words, Du Xianai knew that Shenlang was not going to let him leave alive, and looked at Jing Wuxin. He transmitted his voice. It's not easy for you to leave today. He wants us to die. If he wants us to die, then let him die. Hearing Du Xianai's words, Jing Wuxin said fiercely, this is a drop of divine blood. Brother Shy and I will definitely increase his strength after taking it. At that time, you and I will work together to burst out a powerful force, to break free from Shenlang's domain. His domain is incomplete. As long as his domain is broken, he can be killed. When Jing Wuxin spoke, a small bottle appeared in his hand and he threw it directly to Du Shai and I. Don't worry, we are here mainly to cooperate with you. Du Shai and I took the jade bottle, but did not take it immediately. Instead, a terrifying aura of black demons burst out from his body. Black demon blood evil knife. Boom. The true energy in his hand condensed into a long knife and slashed it out in an instant. But this time, the long knife was slashed out slowly in an instant and turned into hundreds of blood-colored long knives, overlapping and slashing towards Shenlang with overwhelming force. Seeing that Du Shai and I did not take the divine blood, Jing Wuxin did not say what it was. With a step, a terrifying blood energy burst out from his body and condensed into a sea of blood behind him. Transform into an infinite sea. The blood energy in his palm burst into a terrifying blood river, and with Du Shai's terrifying blood knife, it went towards Shen language. Boom. For a time, blood energy and blood knives ran across the sky and the earth. The power fluctuations can be seen with the naked eye, and Shen Lang's face showed joy when he saw this scene. In his previous life, he was a master of the martial arts world, but he died of old age. In this life, he appeared here and possessed a power that was even more terrifying than his peak. He also wanted to find a strong man who could compete with him. Although these two people were weaker than him, they also aroused their interest in taking action. With a long roar, the breath on his body burst out, but this breath did not break through the concentration of the sea, but stopped at the critical point. However, the momentum on his body continued to rise. The rise of momentum did not cause any fluctuations in the sky. He raised his palm and swung his fist, just a simple punch. It looked very slow, but people could clearly see that the fist collided with the falling knife light and blood light. Boom. The space was in chaos, and the energy was boiling. The collision of the three forces broke out with a roar. Du Shai's breathing suddenly trembled, and the whole person was attacked by a terrifying force, and was shaken and flew backwards, hitting the stone wall again. Puff, a mouthful of blood spurted out. His body fell down along with the broken stones on the stone wall. This time he was not standing, but half kneeling on the ground. You. Puff. He wanted to speak, but blood spurted out again, and the meridians in his body were shaken and scattered at this moment. He looked at Shenlang with horror. He felt that Shenlang had entered the realm of transformation, but he knew that Shenlang's strength had definitely not entered the realm of transformation. Xianmen would never allow this to exist, because once you reach the realm of transformation and don't leave, you will be wiped out, not a simple thunder attack. Now the thunder of Xianmen is more of an urging the strong to leave and enter the Xianmen. As long as you swallow that drop of divine blood, you will have power above the broken level. Let me show you. Boom. At this moment, Jing Wuxin's eyebrows jumped, and a terrifying force suddenly exploded in his body. In the blink of an eye, it increased to an incredible level, and swept around Jing Wuxin like a tide. When this power increased, his realm was still in the stage of concentrating in the sea. He blinked his eyes, a red light flashed, and then the aura around him condensed. His body was like iron, and the air was torn apart by his palms. And behind him appeared the shadow of a bloody giant ape. Yours is the divine blood that we chose to match you best. I believe you will like it. Boom. While Jing Wuxin was speaking, he raised his palm with the momentum of holding up the sky, and then grabbed Shenlang with his backhand. The action was clean and neat, but with a terrifying power fluctuation, which burst out from it. The sea of blood boiled, and attacked Shenlang like a torrent. Somewhat interesting. The power fluctuation sensed by the other party. This power fluctuation is vaguely close to half-step transformation. It is very strong, but that's all. Shenlang said softly. While speaking, the aura on Shenlang began to change. Originally, he was graceful and gentle, but at this moment, a terrible aura broke out from Shen language. This aura was not only terrible, but also overbearing. Gulong is the number one in the Jianghu. Although he is a wanderer and a knight, he is also a strong man who dominates an era. Boom. A terrifying aura permeated around him. His realm still did not surpass the concentration in the sea, but he has comprehended the domain. Domain combines with his own aura to infinitely enhance his own aura. and this aura also carries the power of the domain. Hurry. If you don't want to die, do Xianai, hurry up. Sensing the power that Chen Lang burst out, Jing Wuxun immediately growled. He had a feeling in his heart that the giant ape shadow behind him could not block Shen Lang's aura. Hearing Jing Wuxun's words, Du Xianai's eyes condensed and swallowed the blood in the bottle. At this moment, he let out a low roar, and the black demonic energy on his body continued to rise, and the previous injuries on his body were instantly healed. Roar with the roar, the shadow of a black giant python appeared behind him. The giant python's shadow was extremely gloomy, emitting rolling demonic energy, and the demonic energy was filled with cold air. The gravel around him was instantly frozen under this cold air. Chapter 963. Kill everything and take over the black market. Haha. Such a strong power. Du Xianai roared, his eyes filled with murderous intent, but he did not hide his murderous intent at all. Black demon python. He shouted, his palms grew claws, and a giant python appeared in his palms, similar to the giant python shadow that appeared behind him. Kill. He rushed towards Shen Lang, wanting to join Jing Wuxun to kill Shen Lang together. It's all in vain. A cold light flashed in Shen Lang's eyes. He clenched his palms into fists, moved his body, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. When he appeared again, his figure was already in front of Du Xianai. Du Xianai is not worth much, kill him first. Boom. He punched out with his fist in his hand. What? Du Xianai, who was arrogant because of the sudden increase in power, saw this and his expression changed. He didn't expect Shen Lang to appear in front of him in the blink of an eye. He didn't notice the other party's movements just now. However, no matter how surprised he was, Shen Lang's fist fell down, and the terrifying fist force was like a giant pillar of heaven and earth. Impossible. With your power, why didn't the heaven gate appear? This is the power of the domain. I temporarily blocked the heaven gate. Although Shen Lang's momentum just exploded, he kept his own realm in the sea of concentration. But when he took action, he burst out with power beyond the sea of concentration. Boom. Shen Lang's fist directly hit the head of the giant python. Bang. The powerful force smashed the head of the giant python. Finally, the fist fell and landed on Du Xianai. Bang. Du Xianai's whole body was shaken out and hit the ground. The terrifying power on his body also disappeared in an instant. Shen Lang's punch just now landed directly on the drop of blood in his heart, shattering the blood directly. Without the power of the divine blood, Du Xianai's chest was shattered. Blood spurted out of his mouth. In a few seconds, the whole person was out of breath. It was still a little bit. When seeing Shen Lang kill Du Xianai with one blow, Jing Wuxun's face condensed and murmured in his mouth. The temporary power increase is not optimal. Jing Wuxun suddenly raised his hand. He grabbed the surrounding black market warriors. The bodies of the 10 black market warriors were out of control and were caught in his hands. Boom. The terrifying power exploded on them, and the 10 black market warriors he caught turned into blood mist. He took a big breath and sucked all the blood into his mouth. When the blood was sucked into his mouth, Jing Wuxun's power surged. The terrifying power fluctuations made the surrounding space begin to vibrate continuously. Shen Lang's eyes condensed. After swallowing some of the warrior's blood, the opponent's body actually improved again, and it seemed to have reached the level of half-step transformation. Shen Lang, do you still want to fight? You can't use all your power at this moment. Once you use it, you will leave. In other words, you will leave this world once you make a move. In this case, it's probably not worth killing me. Jing Wuxun looked at Shen Lang and said. Shen Lang looked at the other party. His eyes did not move. You are indeed very powerful now. But I said, you die, so you must die today. Shen Lang's tone was calm, but it was cold and fierce. You. Hearing Shen Lang's words, Jing Wuxun's eyes became ferocious. He didn't expect Shen Lang to be unwilling to let him go even in this situation, which made him furious. The bloody aura on his body became stronger. The violent aura swept around. Roar. Abyss. Violent ape. Jing Wuxun shouted. The huge roar shook the world. In this huge roar, a terrifying dragon roar appeared on Shen Lang's body. Shen Lang was born with the blood of the Azure Dragon. As the sound of the dragon shadow sounded, Shen Lang's figure began to change, and a green dragon shadow appeared on his body. The dragon shadow circled, and finally merged into his body. His body instantly grew larger, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. Blue dragon bloodline, you. Seeing this, Jing Wuxin's eyes changed. He didn't expect Shenlang to have the blood of the Azure Dragon. Seeing this, he didn't look back, and fled towards a place. But when he was escaping, he suddenly felt a terrifying gravity in the surrounding space. Domain. He knew that Shenlang was using the power of the domain. He roared. His fists kept bombarding the surrounding space, trying to break free from the pressure of the domain. But when he was bombarding violently, Shenlang had already appeared in front of him. He raised his palm. A terrifying, domineering and majestic aura burst out from him, and a terrifying huge dragon shadow appeared behind him. Roar. The dragon shadow let out a low roar. Shenlang punched out. His fist turned into a green dragon, rushing towards Jing Wuxin with terrifying power. Sensing the terrifying power, Jing Wuxin gave up bombarding the domain, but roared and punched the dragon. Ah! But when the fist was blasted out, Jing Wuxin screamed. His violent fist was instantly shattered when it collided with the green dragon, and the green dragon's huge force bombarded his body, and a huge blood hole appeared on his violent body. Blood flowed in the blood hole, but Jing Wuxin's life force was very strong. He looked at the surrounding black market warriors fiercely, wanting to devour their blood. But at this moment, the black market warriors had already fled far away, not giving him such an opportunity. The main reason was that he had devoured the blood of more than a dozen warriors before, which had already made people wary. Roar. Jing Wuxin roared, and his blood and energy surged. He wanted to repair his wounds, but at this time, Shenlang stepped in front of him. He had no time to repair his wounds, roared, and punched Shen. This punch will send you to death. Shenlang looked indifferent, raised his palm, and punched out. A dragon shadow appeared on his fist and burst out. Colliding with the opponent's fist, Shenlang's fist pierced through the opponent's fist, the opponent's arm, and the opponent's body with an unavoidable force. Bang! The opponent's body was directly shattered under Shenlang's fist, and blood spurted. He was not an opponent at all. At this moment, Shenlang showed too much strength. After today, I, King Langhu, will be the boss of the black market. If anyone is dissatisfied, you can leave the black market. After one day, if there are still dissatisfied people, they will be killed. Shenlang said, and his figure disappeared in front of everyone. The strength of the big dragon leader is quite strong. I'm afraid that it will be difficult for you and me to make further progress here. Apply to the master to leave through the Shineman gate. Wei Zhuang said as he watched Shenlang disappear. Hearing Wei Zhuang's words, Gaini nodded. In this family, if it is too difficult to gain stronger power, it is better to leave through the Shineman gate like Zhao and strive for stronger power. The two left afterwards. Others in the black market were shocked. Some people looked calm. They themselves had no power in the black market. They were just doing business here. So who is the boss of the black market has nothing to do with them. They can just hand over the profits anyway. Those with ugly faces were some of the forces in charge of the black market. They looked solemn and quickly gathered together to discuss matters. Of course, there was another piece of news, which was when Zhao left. He mentioned that King Lang Society had a master. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 964, A Piece of Thunder. Emperor's Handbone, Li Wuxi. At this time, some figures quickly appeared and surrounded the place. They were all members of the King Lang Society. Shenlang and his men were not suitable for touching corpses. After all, they had to maintain some dignity and the demeanor of a strong man. But they would not let others touch corpses, so the people of the King Lang Society appeared and surrounded the place. Some people originally wanted to fish in troubled waters, but when they saw the King Lang Society appear, they quickly left. They were afraid that they would accidentally anger the King Lang Society and be cleaned out at that time. After a while, all the things in Dushianai's cave were taken away. Even the bodies of Dushianai and others on the ground were quickly taken away. The body must have changed after the divine blood was fused. Perhaps something could be found out. In a pavilion in the black market, a figure paced back and forth in the pavilion. It was Lan Peasy, the new palace master of the Paradise Palace. The sound of footsteps came from downstairs. Lan Peasy turned and looked at the door. The door was opened. A man in a grey robe and a bamboo hat entered the room. The black market has changed hands. From today on, the King Long Society will be in charge of the black market. The people of the Bulayo Hall have been wiped out. After this, the Bulayo Hall should appear in the martial arts world. The strength of the King Long Society's big dragon leader Chen Lang has reached the half-step transformation realm, and he also has blood power, which is extraordinary. There is another thing. When Zioki Ashu of the King Long Society left the Shineman, he mentioned the master. We need to investigate this person. He should be the real leader of the King Long Society. The visitor said in a deep voice. There is someone above the big dragon leader of the King Long Society. Hearing this news, Lan Peasy's eyes condensed. The previous appearance of the big dragon leader made her think that she could clearly understand the King Long Society. But unexpectedly, after the big dragon leader of the King Long Society appeared, another master was involved. This increased the difficulty of understanding the King Long Society. A dark force. If the characters are all found out, then it can only walk on the front of the martial arts world, and then the degree of danger can be estimated. But if it is still unclear, it will make people afraid. There is someone, but it's hard to find out who it is. Moreover, the King Long Society is so powerful now. If we investigate, I'm afraid, Lan Peasy said in a deep voice. Just investigate secretly, keep it confidential, just investigate, don't touch too much. I don't think the King Long Society will do anything. After all, I'm afraid you are not the only one investigating. Many forces will investigate, but your focus is still Gile Powder. You must ensure the operation of Gile Powder in Jiangnan area. By the way, I have to go back to Nanhei this time to report the situation here to the master in person. The visitor said in a deep voice. Going back now? Can't we just send a pigeon to send a letter back? Lan Peasy asked. There are still some things that need to be reported to the master in person. There are too many changes in Jiangnan, and there are also changes in the Tingsao area. Judging from Li Chen's actions, he may not only want to take over the Tingsao area, but also the forces around the North and South Canal Basin. Now that the leader of the King Long Society has become famous in one battle, I believe that many forces will join Li Chen's at the first time. What is happening here is completely beyond our expectations. I want to go back and discuss the follow-up arrangements with the master. I won't stay here for long. If there is any situation, please inform me in time. After speaking, the visitor turned and left the pavilion. He was afraid that the King Long Society would block the black market, and then he would not be able to leave the black market. After the visitor in grey left, Lan Peasy's expression became solemn. The King Long Society is more terrifying than what they investigated. It is too complicated. King Long Hu based Shen Lang, Gaini, Wei Zhuang, Zhu Zhengwo and others gathered in the hall. Report. At this time, Beifeng, a subordinate of Wei Zhuang, came in and reported, Big Dragon Chief, we found a strange hand bone on Du Shianai's body. While speaking, she placed an inconspicuous hand bone on the table not far away. Hand bone. Hearing Beifeng's words, Shen Lang was slightly stunned and looked at the hand bone on the table. He grabbed it with his palm and immediately felt a strange energy in the hand bone. A force of energy rushed towards the hand bone. A force of lightning appeared in the hand bone, shattering all the energy that Shen Lang had poured into the hand bone. This lightning power is somewhat similar to the lightning power of Shanman. Shen Lang frowned slightly. Then his mind fell on the hand bone. Boom. When his mind entered the hand bone, suddenly, a huge figure appeared in his mind, and the figure was bathed in endless lightning. Under this endless lightning, the endless mountains and rivers were all shattered and turned into thunder rivers. Shen Lang wanted to investigate further, but suddenly a terrifying repulsive force burst out, entered the hand bone's mind, and was instantly cut off. Puff. Shen Lang spurted out a mouthful of blood, looking at the hand bone in front of him with horror. It's just a simple repulsive force, but it's so terrifying. The person who has this hand bone is definitely not simple. Chen Lang wiped the blood from his mouth and said. Then he told the people around him about this situation. Thunder Shadow, could this hand bone belong to the Thunder Emperor, the founder of this world? If it is the hand bone of the Thunder Emperor, then it can explain why Du Xian'ai was able to burst out of power that surpassed the concentration of the sea. At this time, Zhu Zhenghai spoke on the side. Zhu Zhenghai did not participate in the battle against Du Xian'ai and others, but he hid in the dark and kept an eye on the movements of all parties. Du Xian'ai showed his power beyond the concentration of the sea without hesitation, but was not affected by the virtual shadow of Xianmen. It is unlikely to be the reason for the technique, because Chen Lang reached the half-step transformation realm and comprehended a trace of the power of the domain. Normally, he could only maintain his own cultivation in the sea and concentrate his mind. He only used the power of the domain to wrap himself up at the moment of attack and deceived the heaven gate in the void for a moment, but he could not really block the heaven gate. He said that before, but he was just saying it to his opponent. He was not really blocking the heaven gate. So Zhu Zeng, I always thought that Du Xian'ai used other methods, but during the battle, he did not notice anything unusual. Now seeing this hand bone, he guessed that this hand bone might be from the Thunder Emperor. Because this world was founded by the Thunder Emperor, carrying this hand bone may be able to affect the heaven gate. Du Xian'ai and Beni Zuanming's collections have been sorted out. It's just right to pass it to the master together with this thing. Zhu Zeng said. Okay, this matter will be left to Mr. Zhu to arrange. My mind was injured just now, and I need to recover. Follow up, the black market matters. I will trouble you to complete them. Chen Lang said. Just now, the mind rejected, although it was just rejection, but it also injured him, and he needed to recover as soon as possible. The next morning, Su Chen opened his eyes and smiled. The dragon shadow in his body had grown a lot, and his body seemed to be sucked again, stronger than before. It seems that the black market has been taken down, but I don't know if anything happened in the middle. Su Chen thought to himself. He pushed open the door and walked to the kitchen. Yuan Suan was already in the kitchen and had prepared breakfast. After Su Chen finished breakfast, Yuan Suan stepped forward and told him about the battle in the black market in Jinling City. He also took out the hand bone he had obtained before. Su Chen's heart moved, and he took the hand bone. Get a piece of the right hand bone of the Thunder Emperor. Reward 5 orange lottery cards. Character evil godly Wuxi can be fused. At this time, some information appeared in Su Chen's mind. A piece of the hand bone of the Thunder Emperor. Character Li Wuxi can be fused. Looking at this information, Su Chen was shocked. He didn't expect that it was really the hand bone of the Thunder Emperor as Zhu Zhengwo guessed, and the character given was still Li Wuxi. Could it be that Li Wuxi was struck by thunder too much recently? This is the hand bone of Thunder Emperor. Li Wuxi confused with him. Su Chen handed the hand bone to Yuan Suan and said. Chapter 965. Killing through the script Jiang Yuan. The Power Gang's 3 giants Zhao Shiring. Master Li was able to fuse this hand bone. Yuan Suan showed a look of surprise on his face. He did not expect that Li Wuxi could fuse this Thunder Emperor's hand bone. Zhao Qiushu and Fu Hongxue left through the heaven gate. When Su Chen was amazed at the Thunder Emperor's hand bone, he could not help but sigh in his heart. In the Battle of Jinling City, Zhao Qiushu and Fu Hongxue both left through the heaven gate, and the Qinglang Club suddenly lost 2 masters. My lord, Gaini Jianzhen and Wei Zhuang Longshao applied to leave through the heaven gate and go to the world above the heaven gate. Yuan Suan put away the hand bone and traded the things to Li Wuxi and then spoke. Hearing Yuan Suan's words, Su Chen's eyes were stunned. He was already sighing that Fu Hongxue and Zhao Qiushu left, but he did not expect that Gaini and Wei Zhuang also wanted to leave. However, if the two wanted to leave through the heaven gate, Su Chen would not stop them. Warriors themselves must pursue to be stronger, otherwise what is the point of practicing? Get ready, go to the heaven gate. Su Chen replied. Then I will reply to them later. Also, my lord, the Queen of Heaven has sent a letter asking when we will leave the city. Yuan Suan then said, we will leave the city today. You can arrange the itinerary. By the way, when will Li Longshao and his group arrive? According to the itinerary, Li Longshao and his group will arrive in Jiangnan tomorrow. However, Yuan Xianhuan of the Jiangnan Pacification Division is not with Li Langshao and his group. It is possible that they will arrive earlier. Yuan Suan said. Has the Qinglang Society not found out where Yuan Xianhuan and his group are? Su Chen asked after hearing this. Their whereabouts are very secretive. The Qinglang Society has not discovered them yet. However, I have already used Qinglang Society spies around and in Suching. As long as they show up, they should be able to be locked down quickly. Yuan Suan said. Yuan Xianhuan is a person beside Emperor Zhao. He is very powerful. In addition, he has been in charge of Jiangnan for so many years. It is not so easy to find him. Just let the spies pay attention to him. There is no need to look for his traces too much. Maybe if we don't look for him, he will appear automatically? Su Chen said. I understand. I will go and arrange the carriage first. We will leave Suching. Yuan Suan bowed and left the kitchen. After Yuan Suan left, Su Chen looked at the 5 orange lottery cards he had just obtained and drew them directly. 2 tokens of the outer disciples of the Heavenly Sword Saints sect. Exclusive characters Gaini and Wei Zhuang, Jiang Yuan, Bei Dao, and Zhao Shiring. What is this? Su Chen looked at what he had drawn, and his brows moved slightly. The token of the outer disciples of the Heavenly Sword Saints sect. Is this preparing to let his people take over the Heavenly Sword Saints sect? After all, Zizia Feng also obtained one before. If I get some more tokens of the Heavenly Sword Saints sect, can my first base above Shineman be located in the Heavenly Sword Saints sect? Su Chen thought to himself. But then he denied it, because he was practicing the Dao of the Sword now, which was a bit incompatible with the Heavenly Sword Saints sect. Then he looked at the character Jiang Yuan. This character was not simple. She was a character in the TV series Little Fish and Flowerless. She was an absolutely ruthless person. Whether it was her face, her mind, or her means, she was a person who was extremely ruthless to others and herself. After all, she was killed by him in the whole play, leaving only the title. She was an absolute villain of the death god level. She practiced the highest level of the wedding dress divine art in the play, transplanting flowers and grafting trees, and absorbed the skills of Yaoyu and Lion Crossing. She was an absolute ceiling level character in this TV series. Of course, this was a magic modified TV character, not a novel character. So Su Chen didn't know at what level the character's strength was defined. I couldn't help but look at the other part, his strength introduction. Broken, close to half a step into the realm, with the heart of murderous intent. This strength is quite high. It is worthy of being a magic modified version, and it also has the heart of murderous intent. The heart of murderous intent, first, can increase combat power with the murderous intent. The stronger the murderous intent, the stronger the combat power will be. And second, it can hide one's murderous intent, so that people can't detect the murderous aura on her. Awesome. Su Chen could only think so. Bei Dao, not the Bei Dao in the world's #1, but a character from the Peerless Twins. Just a character who appeared in the early stage. One person pushed the masters of the 6 major sects, and when he drew his sword energy was all over the world. He killed his opponent with one sword, and he cut people and things with one sword. Of course, he died in Yu Langxuan's ruthless beheading in the end. He was about the 4th master in the play. Why not come to Yu Langxuan? Su Chen thought to himself. Check the strength of Bei Dao. Bei Dao's strength is close to the level of shattering, and he has no special bloodline. Compared with ordinary people, he is a little stronger. After he is born, he will practice for a period of time and take some pills. I believe he can reach the level of shattering. The last person. Su Chen's brows moved slightly. Zhao Shiring, a female character in Wenshu, may not be known by many people, but she is also a top figure in Wenshu. The wife of Li Chenzhao, the leader of the world's largest gang, Quanli Gang, and one of the 3 heroes of Quanli Gang, the gang leader's wife Liuan Shuxiu Zhao Shiring. It can be said that she is a heroine who is as good as a man and died to save Yufei. Of course, if she hadn't died, Li Chenzhao would not have died. The love between the two was not earth-shattering, but it was also unforgettable. Li Chenzhao was killed by his rival Zhu Ziawu while guarding Zhao Shiring's body. This shows that Li Chenzhao really loves her. I didn't expect to be drawn out this time. The fate of the two in the previous life was a bit bleak. In this life, when the two meet again, it will be different. Zhao Shiren's strength arrangement has just stepped into the sea to concentrate. I wonder what Li Chenhao will do when he sees Zhao Shiren. With Zhao Shiren here, I believe Li Chenhao will not be in a hurry to go to Xianmen. Su Chen thought to himself. Then he passed 2 outer disciple tokens of Xianji and Shengzang to Gaini and Wei Zuang. Since they wanted to go to Xianmen and happened to get the tokens of Xianji and Shengzang, he must give them to them. After trading the tokens, Yuan Suan came. Master, the carriage has been arranged. Let's go. Su Chen nodded. The two stepped out of the mansion, and Heli Beizu and Jian was sitting in front of the carriage. Su Chen and Yuan Suan got into the carriage. The carriage went out of the city. At this moment, in a restaurant not far away, a person looked at the carriage and quickly sent a pigeon. Outside the city, in an underground secret room, Xianfei Yanruxu was in it, and in front of her was the internal steward Zhao Zongwen. Su Chen left the city? Who is with him? Xianfei Yanruxu said. Heli Beizu and Jian, Yuan Suan, no one else on the surface. Zongwen Zhao said. Manager Zhao, do you think this is our chance to kill him? Xianfei said in a deep voice. Xianfei, Su Chen is the young leader of the Qinglang Society. If we take action, what will happen? According to the information we have found, Li Zunhuan and others from the Qinglang Society may arrive in Sucheng tomorrow. They came here specifically for me. If we do nothing, it is not the style of our demon sect. Xianfei Yanruxu said. Hearing Xianfei Yanruxu's words, Manager Zhao's eyes condensed slightly. After thinking for a moment, he said, now the Qinglang Society is very powerful. If we kill Su Chen at this time, our demon sect's momentum will definitely increase greatly. But if we take action, we need to make arrangements. We must not only prevent his power, but also prevent whether there are other masters following him. Manager Zhao said. Manager Zhao, you go and arrange this matter. Hearing Manager Zhao's words, Xianfei Yanruxu said, and when she spoke, a light flashed in the depths of her eyes that was not easy to detect. Chapter 966 Leng Hushan, the bloodline of the immortal dragon, the 4 general envoys, and extreme spring sorrow. Sucheng. In a courtyard, Yuan Xianhuan, the chief of the Jiangnan Pacification Division, was in the hall. He arrived in Sucheng earlier than Li Zunhuan. In front of him was Qin Biming, who was dressed in black. Qin Biming looked a little pale and his breath was unstable. Have you found the whereabouts of Xianfei? Yuan Xianhuan looked at Qin Biming and said softly. Chief, Xianfei's previous place of residence was in the south of Sucheng, Wanrong Street, but the news that I was captured by the Pacification Division must have been known to Xianfei. I think Xianfei must not be in Sucheng now. Qin Biming said. According to the information, Xianfei has not left the territory of Sucheng. If she is not in the city, then she is outside the city. I hope you can find Xianfei. Yuan Xianhuan looked at Qin Biming and said. I will do my best to find the whereabouts of Xianfei Yanruxu. Qin Biming said immediately. Then you do it. Yuan Xianhuan glanced at Qin Biming and said. Hearing this, Qin Biming was startled. He didn't expect Yuan Xianhuan to ask him to find the heavenly concubine. Only me? Qin Biming couldn't help asking. Yes, I believe you can definitely find the whereabouts of the heavenly concubine. Go ahead. Yuan Xianhuan waved his hand. Qin Biming bowed and left the hall. When he walked out of the hall, his eyes were fixed. Yuan Xianhuan is still testing me, otherwise, he wouldn't let me go alone to investigate the whereabouts of the heavenly concubine. He wants to use me as bait. Qin Biming thought to himself, and walked out of the courtyard. In the hall, Yuan Xianhuan looked at Qin Biming who was leaving with a sneer on his face. He didn't believe Qin Biming. He turned and came to a side hall, opened the underground secret room in the house, and entered a passage. The passage was dark, and no light could be seen clearly, but Yuan Xianhuan didn't care at all. He kept moving forward. After a while, his figure appeared at the entrance of a passage. Walking out of the passage, it was also a remote courtyard. In the courtyard, a figure wearing a black robe and a bamboo hat was standing in the middle. You are a little late. The person looked at Yuan Xianhuan and said. Tell me, where is Xianfei now? And what arrangements have you made with Master Zhu? Yuan Qianhuan looked at the person who came and did not pay attention to what he said, but spoke. Qianfei is outside the city, in an underground secret room in the West Mountain. But Qianfei is not in a hurry. You have other tasks here. The person who came said. Other tasks? Tell me. Yuan Qianhuan frowned slightly and said. Qianfei wants to kill Su Chen. You secretly take people there. If Qianfei doesn't kill Su Chen, you secretly kill Su Chen. The person who came said. Kill Su Chen? And help Qianfei kill Su Chen? Hearing the words of the person who came, Yuan Qianhuan frowned slightly. This is the order of Master Zhu. The Qinglang Society is too powerful now. If the young leader of the Qinglang Society is killed by the heavenly concubine of the demon sect, I believe that the Qinglang Society will lose its momentum, and it will also allow the Qinglang Society to fight against the remnants of the demon sect. The visitor said. I can't do anything about this matter. Once I do something, I will reveal my flaws. The Qinglang Society may take action against my Jiangnan Pacification Division. The risk is too great. I think it is still the Jiangnan Xianjian Division that should take action. Among the 4 great envoys of Jiangnan, Ji Chunqiao has never appeared. He can take action. His strength is not weaker than mine. Yuan Qianhuan said. Are you going to disobey Master Zhu's order? Hearing Yuan Qianhuan's words, the visitor's eyes condensed and said in a cold voice. Humph. Just as the other party was speaking, Yuan Qianhuan snorted coldly, and a breath appeared on his body, instantly pressing on the visitor. Crack. The visitor's bamboo hat was directly shattered, and his body was bent by the pressure. The face that was revealed was Zhao Zongwen, the internal manager of the demon sect, who was beside Qianfei. Yuan Qianhuan, you. Zongwen Zhao's face was furious, and his strength burst out, but he could not resist Yuan Qianhuan's aura suppression at all. I didn't expect it was you. Master Zhu is really powerful. He can actually control the internal manager of the demon sect. Yuan Qianhuan looked at Zongwen Zhao and said. Yuan Qianhuan, you are disobeying the order of Master Zhu. Zongwen Zhao said with all his strength. Zhu Pingsheng, his orders cannot command me. I obey his orders because there are some duties that I have to do, but I will not obey his orders for some things that are not my responsibility. This matter can only be the responsibility of your Xianjian division and the 4 general envoys. I will not get involved. Give me the address of Qianfei before Li Zunhuan arrives tomorrow. After saying that, Yuan Qianhuan turned and left. Looking at Yuan Qianhuan who was leaving, Zongwen Zhao's face looked ferocious. Damn Yuan Qianhuan, I will find a chance to take revenge. Zongwen Zhao said fiercely. Let me do the killing of Su Chen. At this time, a deep voice came from the corner. A figure appeared. It was the 4 general envoys wearing masks and black robes. That is, Ji Chunqiao, whom Yuan Qianhuan just mentioned. General Envoy Ji, you take action? Chief Steward Zhao looked at the visitor and said. Master Zhu had expected that Yuan Qianhuan would not take action, so he notified me in advance. The visitor looked at Chief Steward Zhao and said. Then I'll trouble General Envoy Ji. This is the location for the action, at the 3-way intersection leading to Jinling City. According to the time Su Chen left, he still has half an hour to get here. I have other arrangements, so I'll leave first. Chief Steward Zhao said. Okay. Ji Chunqiao, who was wearing a black robe and a mask, nodded. Outside the city Su Chen's carriage was not moving fast. He was mainly cooperating with the Queen of Heaven, not really leaving Sucheng. On the carriage, Su Chen was reading a book. This is collected from the black market Beizu and Ming and Liu Palace. This is the book selected by Yuan Suan, based on some of Su Chen's situations, which can help Su Chen get the most possible rewards. The speed of flipping through the books is very fast. During this period of time out of the city, Su Chen has accumulated 2 orange lottery cards. Leng Hushan, a subordinate of the host, stepped into the sea to concentrate his mind and condensed into a trace of the blood of the immortal dragon. He is rewarded with 2 orange lottery cards. I didn't expect Leng Hushan to step into the sea quietly and concentrate his mind and even condensed the blood of the immortal dragon. Could it be that Ling Luoshi appeared and stimulated Leng Hushan? After all, Leng Hushan was killed by Ling Luoshi back then. Su Chen thought to himself. My lord, we still have half an hour to reach the three-way intersection leading to Jinling City, which is the place we agreed with Cheyenne Fei. Yuan Suan said, I hope this Cheyenne Fei is a trustworthy person. If not, there will be a lot more corpses today. Su Chen murmured. Then he continued to flip through the books. Although it is small, he will have more lottery cards if he accumulates them. There is a wine shop at the three-way intersection on the way to Jinling City, where many martial artists come and go to drink. On the second floor of the wine shop, Cheyenne Fei was standing by the window. Is Manager Zhao not back yet? Cheyenne Fei said to Aang Wuzi beside her. Manager Zhao went to confirm the information of Su Chen's carriage in person, and he should be back soon. Aang Wuzi said beside her. Chapter 967. Talented in performance, killing the throat with one slash. Is that so? I hope nothing unexpected happens. Cheyenne Fei said. Cheyenne Fei, if we really want to attack Su Chen, once we do, we will fight to the death with a King Lang society, which is very disadvantageous to us. Aang Wuzi advised from the side. I understand this matter, it won't go wrong. Cheyenne Fei said. This was originally her and Su Chen's plan. She just wanted to confirm who Zhu Pingsheng sent to his side. He didn't want to kill Su Chen at all. Inform everyone, without my order, you are not allowed to take the initiative to attack. Cheyenne Fei ordered Aang Wuzi. If it is, I will arrange it immediately. Aang Wuzi turned and left the room. I didn't expect it to be you, General Manager Zhao, but why would you help Zhu Pingsheng? You are someone next to the demon chief. And Zhu Pingsheng, what do you want to do? Cheyenne Fei frowned slightly. Creak. The door was opened, and a man in black slowly came to Cheyenne Fei. General Manager Zhao met with Yuan Xianhuan of the Jiangnan Pacification Division, and ordered Yuan Xianhuan to take the opportunity to kill Su Xiaolan Shao on Zhu Pingsheng's orders, but Yuan Xianhuan did not participate in this matter. Later, Ji Chunchao, one of the 4 general envoys of the Xianjian division in Jiangnan, appeared. Will he kill Su Xiaolan Shao? The man in black bowed and said. Ji Chunchao, one of the 4 general envoys, is the one who has been wearing a mask. I didn't expect him to take action. Perhaps it is the safest for him to take action, because I'm afraid that no one, except Emperor Zhao and Zhu Pingsheng knows who he is. Cheyenne Fei said in a deep voice, you go down. Cheyenne Fei waved her hand, and the person quickly left the room. After a while, General Manager Zhao returned, and came to Cheyenne Fei and said, Cheyenne Fei, Su Chen will be here in about half an incense stick of time. Okay, I will meet this Su Xiaolan Shao first, when the time comes. Cheyenne Fei said. One strike will kill, and after killing, we leave, which is the safest. General Manager Zhao said after hearing this. I have known Prime Minister Su Xiaolan for a while, so of course I want him to die in a dignified way. Cheyenne Fei shook her head. This. Manager Zhao wanted to say something, but Cheyenne Fei said coldly, this is my decision. Half an incense stick later, Su Chen's carriage appeared outside the tavern. Su Chen got off the carriage and walked into the tavern with Yuan Suan and Heli Beizu and Jian. What do you need, sir? The waiter of the inn immediately came forward to greet them and took Su Chen and the others to an empty table. Bring some braised beef, some other side dishes, and 3 pots of good wine. Yuan Suan said to the waiter. Okay, sir. Wait a moment. The waiter immediately went to prepare. After a while, some dishes were served, and Yuan Suan poured wine for Su Chen. When the wine was poured, Yuan Suan's face changed slightly. He said to the waiter who had just turned around, there is something in your wine. Hearing this, the waiter was startled. Sir, you said there is something in our wine. That's impossible. The waiter said hurriedly. Just as he was speaking, suddenly he grabbed his neck, his face became ferocious, and then he foamed at the mouth, and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, the faces of the people in the hall of the wine shop changed. Then someone shouted, the wine is poisonous. After saying that, he foamed at the mouth, and fell to the ground like the waiter. Others did the same. For a while, there was no living person in the hall, except Su Chen and his friends. Cheyenne Fei's method is a bit cruel. She actually poisoned everyone in the wine shop with one move. Although I know Cheyenne Fei's method, it is indeed cruel to see her move. Sometimes women are more murderous than men. I don't know which friend wants to deal with me. Please show up. Su Chen said. Young Master Su, How are you after not seeing you for a few days? At this time, two figures leaped down from the second floor. They were Chen and Zhao Zhangguan. They were standing not far from Su Chen. Yes, Chen. Looking at the figure that appeared, Su Chen's expression could not help but move, and he spoke. Yuan Suan and Heli Beizu and Jian, who were sitting next to Su Chen, stood up quickly, guarded Su Chen, and looked around vigilantly. I have already checked it out here. It is Zhao Zhangguan. He is Zhu Pingsheng's man. And Zhu Pingsheng of the Xianjian division sent Ji Chunqiao, one of the 4 general envoys in Jiangnan, to attack you. Except for Emperor Zhao and Zhu Pingsheng, no one has seen his true face. He has rarely attacked, and it is not clear what martial arts he practices. At this time, Xian Fei sent a voice message to Su Chen. Ji Chunqiao, one of the 4 general envoys of the Xianjian division. Su Chen was slightly startled. There are only 3 of the 4 general envoys left now. He has seen Lei Buhu and Sima Changhan has had contact with him. There is only one more person left, and his name has never been known before. Now he knows that the other party is Ji Chunqiao. I don't know why the heavenly concubine stopped me like this. This is a bit of a big deal. Su Chen looked at the heavenly concubine and said, "Don't mind young dragon chief Su. I came to see young dragon chief Su this time because I actually wanted to discuss with him and ask him to help me make an appointment with the great dragon chief. I didn't expect that manager Zhao would be so radical and poisoned everyone in the inn at once. But it's good this way. Outsiders won't know about our conversation." The heavenly concubine looked at Su Chen calmly. The heavenly concubine's words made manager Zhao's expression change. Heavenly concubine, we. Manager Zhao couldn't help but ask. They came to kill Su Chen, not to talk. Manager Zhao, I'm not here to kill young dragon chief Su. I just want to meet with young dragon chief Su. You're making such a big deal. The heavenly concubine looked at manager Zhao and said, Lord Heavenly Concubine, your previous intention was to kill young dragon chief Su. Seeing this situation, manager Zhao was a little confused. I just did it according to your arrangement. Thinking of this, his eyes suddenly condensed. Xian Fei, you plotted against me. At this moment, if he still didn't know what happened, then he would be an idiot. I really want to know why you want to surrender to Zhu Pingsheng, Zhao Zhangguan. If you tell me, I might spare your life. Xian Fei moved away from Zhao Zhangguan while speaking. Xian Fei, do you want to know why I surrender to Zhu Pingsheng? I can tell you. Zhao Zhangguan said. Just as he was speaking, he kicked the ground with his footsteps, and his figure suddenly shot out. But the direction of his attack was not Xian Fei, but Su Chen, and his palm was black with a hint of scarlet. 10,000 poisons heavenly mysterious hand. Zhao Zhangguan shouted, and the terrifying poisonous palm enveloped Su Chen. HMM. Seeing Zhao Zhangguan attacking him, Su Chen's eyes became extremely bright. His strength has been improved for a long time, and it's time to show his hands. He is ready to attack himself. Don't do it, I'll do it. As he spoke, he grabbed his hand behind him, and the Xiao knife appeared in his hand. Boom. The aura on his body suddenly began to change, and a terrifying sword intent permeated out. But at this moment, the divine power on the body of manager Zhao burst out, and enveloped Su Chen. With the help of the poison palm, he wanted to kill Su Chen with one palm. The sword intent that was nurtured in Su Chen's body burst out instantly, and the divine power that was enveloping him was instantly shattered under the sword intent that he nurtured. Manager Zhao's expression changed. When his expression changed, Su Chen slashed with the drizzle knife in his hand. For a moment, the knife light disappeared, and the person disappeared. In manager Zhao's eyes, he only saw a drizzle. Swish. Suddenly the drizzle disappeared. His figure stayed in place. Looking at his throat, he couldn't see it, but he could clearly feel the blood flowing from his neck. Then he looked at Su Chen with unwilling eyes. He didn't expect that he didn't even see the other party's knife, and he was killed by the other party with a knife. Chapter 968, Show Up and Fight. One punch blasts one person. At this moment, the heavenly concubine not far away was shocked. Just when Su Chen drew his sword, she only felt a rain of swords, which suddenly stopped, and the throat of manager Zhao was cut. This sword was too fast. and the sword intent that broke through Manager Zao's divine power and emanated from his body was too terrifying. Although he did not show any cultivation, his combat power definitely reached the top level of the sea of concentration. It turned out that this young dragon chief Su had been playing the pig to eat the tiger. Fortunately, I didn't make an enemy of him, otherwise, I'm afraid that few people who came today would be able to leave, the heavenly concubine said in her heart. Heavenly concubine, this young dragon chief helped you kill one person, remember to increase the reward. Su Chen looked at the heavenly concubine and said, What? The stunned heavenly concubine first hummed, but then came back to her senses, knowing that Su Chen wanted an extra reward. Don't you want to, Chen Fei? Then it would be a waste of my kindness. Su Chen looked at the heavenly concubine and said, I will give you an extra reward. Chen Fei said, thank you very much, Chen Fei. Li Langshao will arrive in Su City tomorrow night. There is still one day left. You and Chen Huan should be in Su City, since they want to kill me. I don't think we need to keep him. It's best if they die tonight. Su Chen said in a calm tone. But there was a chill in his voice. Chen Fei was startled when she heard this. Su Xiaolong wants to kill Yuan Xianhuan. Yuan Xianhuan is a guard beside Emperor Zhao. Killing him may bring a lot of trouble. What's more, he is also very powerful, and there should be masters around him. Killing him may cost a lot, and there is also one of the 4 general envoys, Ji Chunqiao, who needs to be dealt with. This person never shows up, and is extremely cautious. I'm afraid he is not so easy to deal with. Chen Fei said in a deep voice. Since he's here, he must die. Su Chen said. Afterwards, I will pretend to retreat. They will take me away, and flee back to Suching. I think he should seize this opportunity. If he doesn't, we can only find him and kill him in other ways. Su Chen said. While speaking, Su Chen came to the chief steward Zhao and stained his robe with the blood on his body. Then a pill appeared in his hand. He swallowed it, and his face turned pale, and he felt extremely weak. Seeing Su Chen's operation, Chen Fei showed a look of shock on her face. Chen Fei, you are looking for death. You dare to attack Xiaolong Shao. At this time, Yuan Suan shouted, and then took Su Chen to the outside of the inn. Beside Yuan Suan, the black and white Zuan Jian, the long sword in his hand, turned into 2 black and white double swords. The terrifying sword energy burst out from it. Boom. The sword energy rushed to the sky. A rumbling sound broke out in the inn. Then he turned around and quickly left the inn. After leaving the inn, the long sword in the hand of Hebei Zuanjian chopped down directly, and the whole inn was directly split in half by the sword. The inn collapsed with a bang. Several figures rushed out of the inn. Even Chen Fei was a little embarrassed, looking at Su Chen who was fleeing. Her eyes were stunned. This Su Chen would actually behave like this. It really surprised her. Let's go. Chen Fei said to the people behind her. Leave quickly without chasing. After Su Chen and his friends escaped from the inn, in a mountain forest, Yuan Suan shouted in a low voice, young dragon's poisoning injury worsens. I will help young dragon to remove the poison. Yuan Suan put Su Chen down while speaking, and a force appeared in his hand, and flowed into Su Chen's body. Hebei Zuanjian was guarding on the side. Time passed little by little. Su Chen's complexion began to recover a little. Why don't you show up yet? You are so patient. Su Chen, who pretended to be poisoned, cursed in his heart. When his voice fell, his mind suddenly moved. Here they come. Who is coming out? When Su Chen's mind was moved, Hebei Zuanjian shouted in a low voice, opened his eyes, and looked at a place with indifference. In his sight, a figure walked out, wrapped in a black robe, wearing a mask, and looked at Su Chen and the others with cold eyes. I didn't expect to be discovered so soon. The voice of the person who came was a little low. Puff. Perhaps it was the appearance of the person who came that made Yuan Suan's mind moved, and Su Chen couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of black blood. Su Chen, who spit out blood, looked at the person who came and said, who are you? I'm the young dragon leader of the Qinglang Society. If you kill me, you will have no chance of survival in this world. Only weak people will make such weak threats. Hearing Su Chen's words, the person who walked out said coldly, you are looking for death. Hearing the other party's words, Hebei Zuanjian's eyes changed, and those who insult the young master will die. Boom, as his footsteps moved. With a bang, the whole person seemed to turn into a black shadow and disappeared in front of the other party. Seeing this, the man's face changed. He retreated rapidly, and when he retreated, the figure of black and white Zuan Jian appeared in front of him. The two swords in his hands slashed at each other at an extremely fast speed. What a fast speed. Seeing this, the man stretched out his hands, wearing a pair of boxing gloves, and his fists were covered with cold light. Boom. The fists collided with the two swords of black and white Zuan Jian, making a rumbling sound, and the terrifying sword energy swept out in all directions. Bang. The two figures retreated at the same time. What's your strength? The man who retreated looked at black and white Zuan Jian, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. From the fight just now, it can be seen that the strength of black and white Zuan Jian is much stronger than he knows. When he was surprised, the figure of black and white Zuan Jian disappeared again. Seeing this, the man showed a gleam in his eyes. The ability to hide in the shadows. This ability is strong, but it's not enough in front of me. While speaking, boom. A terrifying cold air burst out from the man. The cold air rushed up to the sky and spread in all directions. The rolling cold air was like cold fog, surging in all directions at a speed visible to the naked eye. The black and white Zuan Jian, who had just hidden, was quickly forced out by this cold air. Kill. At the moment, when the black and white Zuan Jian was forced out, the person who came moved and killed the black and white Zuan Jian. 4 figures appeared behind him. 3 of the 4 figures went towards Yuan Suan. 3 sword lights burst out, pointing directly at Yuan Suan, violent and blocking all of Yuan Suan's movements. Another person came towards Su Chen with a sword, and the sword light was fast, like a black light. I didn't expect so many people to come. Su Chen's heart moved. This Ji Chun Chao did not come alone, but brought people with him. Boom. 3 sword lights slashed at Yuan Suan, but their expressions changed, because Yuan Suan's figure dissipated under their sword light, and they were only attacking the afterimage. Yuan Suan got the bat blood at an extremely fast speed, which was simply incomparable to these people. As for the other person who attacked Su Chen, there was a fierce look in his eyes, because his long sword was about to chop Su Chen. Su Chen was injured, and unable to move, and could not avoid this sword. However, his falling long sword was caught by a hand. The person who caught his long sword was Su Chen. Your sword is too slow, and the power is too weak. It can't even break my palm. When Su Chen grabbed the long sword, his body moved. The whole person shot out and came in front of the opponent. A terrifying murderous aura burst out from the fist in his hand. Boom. A punch was thrown out. The person who had not reacted yet was hit by this punch. Bang. The whole body was blasted into a bloody mist by this punch. Chapter 969. The Letter of Attendance. Yuan Xianhuan's appreciation of Chun Chao. Not far from the inn, Xian Fei Yan Ruxu was standing on a mound. Ji Chun Chao has taken action. Ying Wuxi appeared behind Xian Fei and said, Ji Chun Chao has taken action? So quickly? Xian Fei frowned slightly. Xian Fei, Ji Chun Chao is very cunning. He rarely shows up, and has always hidden himself in the dark. I don't believe that he will take action so easily. Ying Wuxi said. A person who hides his identity so deeply will not act rashly in anything. Maybe Zhu Pingsheng gave the order, or maybe the person who took action was not Ji Chun Chao. Xian Fei said in a deep voice. Then should we help? Ying Wuxi said. No, we still need to gather our strength to deal with Yuan Xianhuan at night. Xian Fei said. Xian Fei, Yuan Xianhuan was a leader beside Emperor Zhao in the past. He could fight the Demon King for more than 10 moves without losing. In recent years, Emperor Zhao has been stationed in Jiangnan. His strength is probably more terrifying than Miran Xianan. If we attack him head on, we will probably suffer heavy losses. Ying Wuxi said. It took a lot of means to destroy the Miran family and kill Miran Xianan. But Yuan Xianhuan and his men didn't have any arrangements, so if they wanted to take Yuan Xianhuan, they would have to pay a heavy price to attack head on. When Su Chen left, he said that we should kill Yuan Xianhuan. This is a pledge of allegiance. If we do it, I believe we will be recognized by Su Chen. Now this world is no longer the world of the demon sect. We want to obtain more resources, rise again, and revive the Demon King. We can't do it by ourselves. Xian Fei said. Before Di Fei died, she contacted Du Guiwei in the South China Sea for me. Can't we contact him? Aang Wuxi said. It's not that we can't, but there are many forces behind Du Guiwei. I'm afraid that, if we go in, we will only become pawns. Xian Fei said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Aang Wuxi fell silent. You go pay attention to the situation over there, and write down any details. I'll go back first. Xian Fei turned and left after speaking. Aang Wuxi's figure also disappeared quickly. Here, Su Chen punched one person to death, and his face recovered. His aura quickly recovered, and he didn't look poisoned or injured at all. Seeing this, the three people who drew their swords trembled in their hearts. No, we've been fooled. The three people retreated violently, but how could Yuan Suan do as they wished? The soft sword on his waist instantly. Can you leave? As he spoke, murderous intent surged, and the sword light burst out, forming a terrifying sword blade storm. The three looked at each other, and their auras burst out. All three forces of divine power surged out, and enveloped Yuan Suan. Kill. If the other party didn't give them a chance to leave, they could only kill Yuan Suan first. The long sword in his hand slashed out, and with his divine power, the sword energy had a force that could overwhelm mountains and rivers, and collided with Yuan Suan's sword light. The sword energy was raging, sweeping around, forming a wave of air. All the surrounding trees were shattered. Yuan Suan was repelled by this sword, and his footsteps made a deep pit on the ground. Although Yuan Suan absorbed the blood of ancient buds, his strength was more reflected in speed and reaction for the time being. His own true energy concentration and physical strength have not been greatly improved for the time being. His figure retreated, making Yuan Suan's face look ugly. The true energy in his body is not too strong. I will stop him, and you go kill Su Chen, one of them said. The two figures quickly separated and appeared in front of Su Chen. Are you sure he can handle it? Su Chen said when the two appeared in front of Su Chen. Yeah. Hearing this, the two people's expressions changed. Their eyes looked at Yuan Suan. When they looked, Yuan Suan moved and disappeared in front of them. They didn't see how Yuan Suan disappeared. TSK. When they saw Yuan Suan again, Yuan Suan had already penetrated the person he was fighting with, and stood behind him. The person who had just spoken to them was still standing there. He turned and looked at Yuan Suan behind him. How can you be so fast? He said with disbelief. When he finished speaking, a sword energy appeared on his chest, and the sword energy burst, and blood spurted out of his chest, and then he fell to the ground. Since he is dead, you will die too. When the two were horrified, a deep voice sounded in their ears. Boom. A terrifying and violent aura burst out from Su Chen. Along with the violent aura, his body began to change, like a terrifying beast. Kill. Hearing Su Chen's words, the two people close to Su Chen shouted at the same time, attacked Su Chen, and a terrifying divine pressure burst out from them. Although I didn't step into the sea to concentrate, your little power is like garbage in my eyes. Su Chen snorted coldly. Boom, the blood in his body boiled, and the terrifying blood was like a raging tide, shaking the world. The power of the gods shrouding him turned into ashes in an instant. Bang! A punch was thrown. It was a simple punch, but it was full of terrifying blood and a violent aura that made people palpitate. Boom, the fist force collided with the sword light of the two. The sword light exploded instantly, and in this exploding sword light, Su Chen's fist directly hit one of them. The energy of this person was shattered, his chest was sunken, and his eyeballs were convex and concave. Puff. The chest was pierced by a punch, and then Su Chen's arm was swung, and it directly hit the body of another person. The other person screamed, his body was violently shaken away, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Bang! Hitting the ground, the long sword in his hand fell to the side. Looking at Su Chen with horror, the opponent had just shattered the divine power with violent blood and energy. You. What did he want to say? Boom. When he wanted to speak, Su Chen moved his feet, and the ground under his feet made a rumbling sound. In the sound, Su Chen's figure disappeared from the spot. The next moment, Su Chen appeared in front of the opponent with amazing blood and energy. The blood and energy in his fist condensed, forming a terrifying heat wave, and punched out. The terrifying blood and energy fell like a fierce tiger bathed in blood. Roar. In this situation, this person let out a low roar and punched out with all his strength. Boom. A huge explosion swept out from the place where their fists collided. Ah! A scream was heard in this explosion. Then the energy disappeared, and the opponent's arm and half of his body turned into a ball of blood mist. The whole person twitched on the ground, and he was out of breath in a few seconds. The other party, the person who was fighting with Black and White Zhu and Jian, had a condensed look in his eyes. He didn't expect that he had entangled Black and White Zhu and Jian, but his men didn't kill Su Chen. Boom. The fist in his hand collided with the Black and White Zhu and Jian longsword, making a rumbling sound, and then the two of them retreated. He looked at Su Chen. It's really surprising that Su Xiaolanshao has such strong strength. He's hidden well. The voice was low, with some praise. Chapter 970, Twin Brothers, Divine Power can be integrated, the Sword Demon appears. Who are you from? Su Chen looked at the other party and said. Although he knew from Shan Fei that the other party might be Ji Chunchao, one of the four great envoys of Jiangnan, Su Chen still wanted to confirm who this person was. Young Master Su, do you think I will tell you? The voice of the person who came seemed very calm. I just want to confirm who I killed. After all, people have to leave their names when they die. Su Chen looked at the other party and said. Name is not important to me, but from what young Master Su said, you are sure to keep me here. The person on the other side responded to Su Chen's words in a flat tone. It's not sure, but you will definitely die here. The demon sect's chief steward who attacked me in the inn just now was killed by me with one knife, and his body is still in the inn. You will lie here like him. Su Chen looked at the other party, and when he mentioned the demon sect's chief steward, he really wanted to see the other party's reaction when he heard the demon sect's chief steward. Hearing this, there was a hint of surprise in the eyes of the masked man. Young Master Su, you are really an expert at acting. I'm just a little curious, why didn't young Master Su kill the heavenly concubine? The masked man looked at Su Chen and said. His tone seemed to have guessed something. Ji Chunchao. While the other party was talking, Su Chen suddenly spoke the other party's name. The masked man's eyes condensed. I didn't expect you to know who I am. It seems that this game was done by young Master Su and the heavenly concubine together, just to lure me into the trap. The tone became cold. The exposed eyes also became deep. The robe on his body fluttered, and the aura bursting out of the whole person was several times stronger than before. Just now, he fought with Black and White Zhu and Jian, and the other party did not burst out all his strength. Divine power, heaven and earth cold gate. Ji Chunchao shouted, bursting out his divine power. Boom, the cold air condensed, and a huge white shadow door appeared behind him. The door opened wide, and endless cold air poured out from the white shadow. For a moment, the surrounding space seemed to be frozen. Su Chen's eyes moved slightly when he saw this phenomenon. The opponent actually condensed his divine power to such an extent. Of course, this cold air had no effect on Su Chen at all, because Su Chen's left arm was absorbing the cold air that was pouring into his body. I didn't expect your divine power to reach this level, Su Chen said in surprise. Boom. Heaven and earth cold fist. Just as Su Chen was speaking, Ji Chunchao suddenly punched out. The terrifying cold air condensed on his fist and attacked Su Chen. Kill. At this moment, Hei Beizu and Jian shouted in a low voice, and his divine power burst out. A terrifying shadow appeared to resist the huge cold air portal. The two swords in his hands slashed out with one sword. Two sword energies burst out and turned into shadows to collide with the fist that was attacking. Bang! Hei Beizu and Jian's figure was shocked back by the opponent's fist. But at this time, Yuan Suan appeared and stabbed out with a long sword in his hand. The sword light was fast, and the sword stabbed on the opponent's fist. First, he was blocked by the Black and White Zhu and Jian, and then he encountered Yuan Suan's sword. His palm was shattered by the sword energy. Ji Chunchao's face changed, and he moved his body, bullied and continued to punch. Bang! Yuan Suan's sword energy was shattered in an instant under the opponent's fist. His body was also shaken back by the opponent's remaining fist power, and frost covered the blade. This is Ji Chunchao's true strength. Su Chen, who was standing aside, did not change his expression. He had seen the strength of Sima Chenghan, Lei Bihu and others. Ji Chunchao would definitely not be weaker than the other three. It was normal for him to have such strength. It seems that you are not surprised by my strength. You have a backup plan? Ji Chunchao looked at Su Chen and said. Except for you, I have seen the 4 general envoys of the Xianjian division. I know their strengths. You are one of the 4 general envoys with them. How can your strength be weak? Su Chen looked at the other party and said. Zuan Ming 24 punches. When Su Chen finished speaking, the cold energy on Ji Chunchao's body condensed and poured into his fist. Boom. He punched out instantly, and the punching speed was very fast. The auras of Heli Beizu and Jian and Yuan Suan all burst out, and the long swords in their hands slashed out, colliding with the punching force that rushed over. Boom. The sword light, sword energy, fist force, and cold energy mixed together. For a time, the airwave was raging. It covered the surroundings. Just when the surrounding energy was covered, suddenly, a figure similar to Ji Chunchao appeared behind Su Chen, raised his hand and punched out. Roar. At this moment, a terrifying blood and energy appeared around Su Chen, and the figure of a demon ape appeared on Su Chen. With a low roar, he clenched his left hand into a fist and punched out. Boom. The two fists collided with each other. Su Chen's body was shaken back dozens of steps by this punch, and then he stabilized his body, but a layer of ice appeared on his fist, and the ice went towards his entire arm. My Zuan Ming cold poison will go through your arm, and invade your heart veins. A deep voice came from the mouth of the person who appeared. You are Ji Chunchao, and that person is not. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes changed and asked. Why can't Ji Chunchao be 2 people? He is also me. Hearing Su Chen's words, the person who came spoke. Is that so? That means that all of you Ji Chunchao are here. Su Chen smiled, and the ice on his arm melted quickly, and the cold air flowed into his arm. Seeing this, the eyes of the person who appeared showed shock. Su Chen's arm not only absorbed the cold air he attacked, but also faintly revealed a dark aura fluctuation. Su Chen's arm is not simple. I haven't used the power of my arm for a long time. Su Chen said calmly. His left arm was replaced with a killing arm a long time ago, and it was still ice attributed. These cold air and ice are nutrients for him. Join hands. Seeing this, the person who appeared shouted in a low voice. The people who had fought with Heli Beizu and Jian and Unsui Yun before moved and merged together. Young Master Su really surprised us, but I forgot to tell you that we are both extremely sad because we are twin brothers. We are not only twin brothers, but we also practice the same technique called Zuan Mingshan Hanju, and we have the same divine power. We have a combo called Ice Age. I wonder if you can block it. Boom. When the voice fell, the divine power of the 2 people burst out. 2 portal phantoms that also radiated cold air appeared behind them. Merge. The 2 people shouted in a low voice, and the 2 portal phantoms of cold air merged together in an instant. Suddenly, the surrounding world began to change. They seemed to have entered the extremely cold land in an instant. Su Chen's eyes condensed, and a sense of danger appeared in his heart. Heli Beizu and Jian and Unsui Yun gathered in front of Su Chen. They also looked extremely solemn. Interesting. When the 2 people's divine power merged and were ready to attack, a voice came out. Then a figure walked out from the darkness, holding an ordinary long sword in his hand. He moved forward slowly, his figure not affected by the surrounding cold at all. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 971 Swallowing the Extreme Spring Sorrow. Dugukia Bay leaves the Imperial City. The man who came had a very ordinary appearance, and his long sword was also very ordinary. He had no aura at all, but when they saw the man, Ji Chunchao and the other man showed extreme horror in their eyes. The divine aura of the 2 of them merged, and even if they surpassed the level of concentration in the sea, they could not do it so easily. But the man who came was not affected at all. Who are you? One person looked at the man and said. The Sword Master of the Qinglang Society, Dugukia Bay. Of course you can also call me the Sword Demon, the man said calmly. After the voice fell, He bowed slightly to Su Chen. "Greetings, young dragon chief. Greetings, Mr. Sword Demon." Su Chen had not planned to let the sword demon take action before. But the divine aura that these two people burst out was not ordinary, not to mention that Su Chen not only wanted to kill them, he also wanted the cold air in their bodies. This was an opportunity to improve his strength. "Young dragon chief, I will suppress them with the sword cage, and then you can devour the cold air in their bodies." Dugukyubei continued. "Then I'll trouble Mr. Debu." The two talked very easily, not caring at all about Ji Chunchao and the other man who were bursting with strength. "You guys." Seeing this, the two were immediately shocked and angry. They were completely despised. "Kill." The two shouted, and the fused divine power exuded a terrifying and extremely cold aura. The divine power in the two people also surged. Boom. At the same time, the cold air of heaven and earth condensed on their boxing gloves. They wanted to kill Dugukyubei with one punch. Dugukyubei's eyes did not change. He raised his palm, and the ordinary long sword in his hand suddenly emitted a terrifying sword light. The sword light slashed out. In an instant, the sword light burst, forming a terrifying cage, covering the two people. The divine power of the two people was fused under the sword cage. It was instantly penetrated, and the true energy condensed around the body was also penetrated by the sword energy in an instant. Kai 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 kai. The sword energy passed through their limbs. For a moment, the two people's bodies were fixed, unable to move at all. The aura on the two people surged, trying to break through the sword energy that pierced their limbs, but the true energy was shattered by the sword energy before it approached the sword energy. The two were extremely angry and frightened, with horror in their eyes. The opponent's strength. How could it be so strong? How could it be possible? The two of them joined forces. Even if the level was broken, they could still suppress it. Why was it like this? They were both sweating profusely. At this moment, the mask on the face was shattered by a sword energy, revealing two identical faces, which were very ordinary and had no characteristics. At this time, Su Chen moved. He instantly appeared in front of one person, raised his left hand, and a palm fell on the other person's head. The terrifying suction force burst out in his hand, and the other person's icy true energy surged towards his unicorn arm like a tide. You are. At this moment, Ji Chunchao, who was sucked, made a burst of painful sounds from his mouth, and he quickly circulated the true energy in his body, trying to resist this breath, but it was useless. Under this energy, not only the icy true energy in the body, but also the blood and ki in the body were devoured crazily, and the struggle became powerless, and soon the blood and ki in the body dried up. "Su Chen, you will not die well. Master Zhu will avenge me. You will die without a burial place." Ji Chunchao cried miserably, but after a while, he died. "Su Chen, let me go." Seeing his twin brother die tragically, the other Ji Chunchao showed fear on his face. His head was buzzing, he was terrified, his whole body was trembling, and he begged for mercy. "Let me go, I can help you," he shouted anxiously. "Tell me why Zhu Pingsheng wants to deal with me. If you satisfy me, I will let you go." Su Chen looked at Ji Chunchao and asked coldly. "I don't know. It may be that King Langhu has been too strong recently, so Master Zhu took action against you. I just took orders and I don't know anything at all," Ji Chunchao said. Hearing Ji Chunchao's words, Su Chen raised his hand and placed it on his head. The terrifying suction force appeared again. The other party's true energy and blood flowed into Su Chen's body through his arm. "I'm not satisfied with your words. As one of the 4 general envoys, you don't know what Zhu Pingsheng is going to do. Do you think I will believe you?" Su Chen's eyes were cold. "I really know. Why don't you ask something else?" he said hurriedly. "You have seen Emperor Zhao and Zhu Pingsheng. What are their strengths?" Su Chen asked. "Your Majesty and Master Zhu, I can't sense your Majesty's strength. Master Zhu's strength is in the sea of concentration," Ji Chunchao said. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes condensed. It is normal that this person does not know the strength of Emperor Zhao, but if Zhu Pingsheng only has the ability to concentrate in the sea, maybe Su Chen would believe it before, but now he will never believe it. Zhu Pingsheng only has the ability to concentrate in the sea. Why do you obey him so much? Su Chen asked in a deep voice. Master Zhu controls the 8 supreme masters in your majesty's hands and is proficient in the secret art of the spirit. Although he only has the ability to concentrate in the sea, he is very afraid. Maybe he stays in the sea to concentrate. Ji Chunchao said hurriedly. Hearing the other party's words, Su Chen's eyes condensed. Is that so? It seems that you only know this. This is really useless. It's useless. Then you can only die. Su Chen's suction increased. Su Chen, you. Ji Chunchao didn't expect Su Chen to be like this and growled. But then he screamed and gradually lost his breath. Then the two bodies fell to the ground. Check the identity of this person. This person wearing a mask must be a famous figure in the world. Su Chen ordered Yuan Suan. Then he said to Du Guqiubei, thank you, Mr. Debu. My lord, I can go to the capital and kill Zhu Pingsheng. Du Guqiubei said. Zhu Pingsheng is in the palace. Killing Zhu Pingsheng may reveal something about Emperor Zhao. Emperor Zhao is mysterious. And I always feel that this matter is not simple. The demon sect may surround and kill Yuan Xianhuan tonight. See if we can get some clues from him. Su Chen shook his head. Du Guqiubei is strong and can go to the capital, but he feels that if Du Guqiubei goes to the capital, then others will benefit. Nowadays, the world is turbulent and various forces are emerging secretly. It is not his style to make wedding clothes for others. My lord, sometimes I worry too much. The strong in the world can settle all the affairs of the world with one sword. The strong don't care about others' benefits. Whoever dares to benefit, I will kill him. Du Guqiubei said. He came to this world, and he also pursued invincibility. For the time being, he has not found anyone who can let him fight. The Zhao Emperor can suppress the great Zhao Jianghu with one hand. He really wants to meet this Zhao Emperor. Hearing Du Guqiubei's words, Su Chen's heart rose with a surge of fighting spirit. A light flashed in his eyes. Mr. Dugu can go to the imperial city of the capital. Su Chen also wanted to test the imperial city of the Great Zhao. This is a good opportunity. I have something to do today, so I will update it first, and there may be another update in the evening. Chapter 972. Everyone is shocked. What should we do? Suchin, Yuan Xianhuan's house. Yuan Xianhuan looked at the secret report in his hand, his face solemn. The head of the Qinglang Society has actually reached the realm of half-step transformation. In this case, if Su Chen gets into trouble, then Jiangnan will be in chaos. Zhu Pingsheng, this move of yours really puzzles me. Yuan Xianhuan muttered as he looked at the secret report in his hand. I hope Su Chen will be fine. Yuan Xianhuan thought to himself. At this moment, two figures appeared in the courtyard. They were Lei Buhu and Sima Changhan. Master Yuan, I just got the news that Ji Chunchao went to kill Su Chen. What's going on? Sima Changhan asked in a deep voice. Don't ask me about this. This matter was ordered by your master Zhu. Yuan Xianhuan said coldly. This Ji Chunchao is extremely powerful. He may be the strongest among the four of us. He has never failed when he takes action. If he takes action, I'm afraid Su Chen. Sima Changhan's face condensed, and he didn't finish his words. He got the news too soon. It is said that Su Chen has the power of the body. Even if Ji Chunchao wants to kill him, it won't be that easy. Yuan Xianhuan said. This is what I'm most worried about. I have been in contact with Su Chen for a while. He looks easy to contact, but he is very murderous. Whether Ji Chunchao succeeds or not, it will put us in danger. Sima Changhan said. General Sima, are you afraid of Su Chen or the Qinglang Society? Yuan Xianhuan looked at Sima Changhan and said. Both. From the contact, Su Chen has a high status in the Qinglang Society. Sima Changhan said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the hall became silent. At this time, a figure appeared in the courtyard, wrapped in a black robe. The visitor entered the hall and saluted Yuan Xianhuan. My lord, Ji Chunchao of the Xianjian division has failed. Ji Chunchao are twin brothers. The divine powers they practice can be integrated, and their power is amazing. Hearing this, the three people in the hall changed their expressions and showed shock on their faces. They didn't expect Ji Chunchao to be twin brothers. If they were twin brothers, practicing the same skills and the same divine power, then the power they burst out must be terrifying. In this case, how could they lose? Sima Changhan couldn't help but say, a sword master from the Qinglang Society appeared. This person is extremely terrifying. He calls himself the Sword Demon. As soon as he appeared, the subordinates were locked by the sword energy and hurriedly retreated. Although the subordinates retreated, they still heard the screams of the Jizang envoy. After 2 screams, there was no movement. After they left, the subordinates and others went to investigate. The 2 corpses had their blood and true energy sucked dry and turned into mummies. In front of them, the mask that the Jizang envoy wore before had been shattered countless times. The fragment of the mask carries sword energy, and I brought a piece back. He took out a fragment and placed it on the table in the hall. Swish. At the moment he placed the fragment on the table, a black sword light burst out from the fragment and pierced through his chest where he had just placed the fragment. The man in black looked at his chest with bulging eyes, looking unbelievable. What a terrifying control power. Sima Changhan and Lei Bihu looked condensed. The sword energy was contained in the fragment and exploded before, but when it was taken out, the sword energy burst out and killed the opponent. This has reached the level of perfection in the control of sword energy. I didn't expect that there was such a terrifying sword master around Su Chen. Yuan Shai and Huan also looked condensed. Master, what should we do next? Sima Changhan said to stabilize his mind. How to do it? Yuan Shai and Huan's expression also became solemn. At this moment, in the pavilion not far away, Yuan Shai and Huan is still in the house. Yan Ruxu said to the person next to her. No, but just now, 2 of the 4 general envoys of the Xianjian division, Sima Changhan and Lei Bihu, appeared in his mansion. The visitor said. Sima Changhan and Lei Bihu? Hearing this, Xianfei Yan Ruxu's eyes condensed. Xianfei, Sima Changhan and Lei Bihu are here. If we attack at this time, we will not only fail to kill them, but we may also be deeply trapped. The man in black said. Hearing the words of the man in black, Yan Ruxu frowned. Creak. At this time, the door of the room was opened, and Ying Wuxi walked in from outside. His face was extremely solemn. Seeing Ying Wuxi's expression, Xianfei was stunned. She thought something happened to Su Chen. What happened to Su Chen? She asked. Su Shaolan Shao is fine. Ji Chun Chao is dead. Ji Chun Chao is a twin brother. They are very powerful. I have no chance of survival under them. I'm afraid I can't escape. Ying Wuxi said in a deep voice. If that's the case, how could Su Chen avoid the 2 of them? Xianfei couldn't help but ask. When Xianfei asked questions, cold sweat appeared on Ying Wuxi's brow, and he said with lingering fear, a sword master from the Qinglang Society was beside him, named Sword Demon Duguqiabei. When this person appeared, I was locked by the sword energy and had to retreat. After retreating, the space over there was shrouded by sword intent, and I heard Ji Chun Chao's screams in it. When the sword energy disappeared, when my subordinates went to investigate again, they only found Ji Chun Chao's body. His blood and true energy were all devoured, and the whole person was like a dried corpse. Ying Wuxi said with some trembling all over. What? Seeing the changes in Ying Wuxi's body and what he said, her expression changed. She did not doubt Ying Wuxi's words. Because the changes in Ying Wuxi were unconscious. How does that person compare to the demon leader back then? Xianfei asked in a deep voice. The pressure they put on me is even stronger than that of the demon chief back then. Ying Wuxi's mind had recovered a little at this moment, and he continued, and on my way back, I got news from Jinling City that the great dragon chief of the Qinglang Society appeared, and his strength was at the half-step transformation realm. Half-step transformation realm. If that's the case, then the sword master Duguqiabei who appeared today is probably also at this realm. How could such a strong master suddenly appear? Xianfei was a little unbelievable. But then light flashed in her eyes. The Qinglang Society is so strong. I must seize the opportunity and cooperate with them, and I will definitely be able to revive the demon chief. Xianfei Yan Ruxu said. In this case, then Yuan Shai and Huan and the other 2 cannot let them leave Suchen. Take these 3 heads as a token of surrender, so that Su Chen will recognize our strength. Xianfei said. Xianfei, with our strength, we may not be able to take down Yuan Shai and Huan alone, and Sima Changhan and Lei Bihu are both extraordinary. If you do this, you are sending yourself to death. I'm afraid no one will obey you. Xianfei. The man in black on the side advised again. Although Cheyenne Fei is the Cheyenne Fei of the demon sect, the demon sect is now torn apart and no longer the same as it used to be. No one dares to disobey orders. After hearing the words of the man in black, Cheyenne Fei's previous excited expression calmed down. You keep an eye on this place. I'm going to see young Master Su. We'll talk when I come back, Cheyenne Fei said, after thinking for a moment. Chapter 973, Sure Sword Intention, Tyrant Sword True Intention. In the city, in the courtyard, Su Chen had just returned when the figure of the heavenly concubine was already in the courtyard. Su Chen invited the heavenly concubine to sit down. This is the reward promised to Su Xiaolangshao. The extra one is the reward for Su Xiaolangshao's help in killing Zhao Zongwen. The heavenly concubine placed 3 secret books in front of Su Chen. With the previous one, there were 4 books, one more than when she said it first. Su Chen opened the 3 secret books one by one. Look up, Heavenly Demon True Body Art, Black Corpse Demon Sutra, and Illusion Art, to get 3 orange lottery cards. Not bad. I can get 3 orange lottery cards. Su Chen thought to himself. He put the 3 books together. Heavenly Concubine, what do you think of my previous proposal? Su Chen looked at the heavenly concubine and said. He wanted to see the sincerity of the heavenly concubine. Young Master Su, I'm here for this matter as well. Lei Buhu and Sima Changhan, one of the 4 great envoys of Jiangnan, are right next to you and Cheyenne Hun. With the forces of the demon sect that I have gathered, is it impossible to take them down? But I sincerely hope to cooperate with young Master Su. There is an underground palace built by the demon sect in Jiangnan. There are some classics that the demon sect has collected over the years, as well as some other things. I can give them to young Master Su. Cheyenne Fei said. Yes. Hearing Cheyenne Fei's words, Su Chen was stunned. He didn't expect Cheyenne Fei to be willing to take out the underground palace of the demon sect in Jiangnan. Then I have to thank Her Excellency Cheyenne Fei. We Qinglang Society will personally handle you and Cheyenne Hun's affairs. He can't leave such him. Su Chen said. He didn't expect Cheyenne Fei to really take you and Cheyenne Hun down. He just wanted to see Cheyenne Fei's sincerity and their strength. This is the map of the palace and the key to open the palace. As for some information about you and Cheyenne Hun, I will send it later. While Cheyenne Fei was speaking, she took out a key and a map. Su Chen took it in his hand and put it in his arms. Get a map of the demon sect's Jiangnan palace, a key, and an orange lottery card. Well, I can get one of these as well. Su Chen was delighted. Young Dragon Chief Su, I want to meet the second Dragon Chief who is coming to Suching. Cheyenne Fei said. Since the first Dragon Chief couldn't be seen, she wanted to meet the second Dragon Chief, Li Zunhun, so as to learn more about the Qinglang Society. Okay, I'll arrange it here, but I'm curious, why did Your Excellency Cheyenne Fei choose to cooperate with our Qinglang Society? What's the purpose? Su Chen looked at Cheyenne Fei and said. Because the Qinglang Society is strong enough, young Dragon Chief Su. Don't worry, my purpose will not conflict with yours. I just want to revive the Demon Chief. Cheyenne Fei replied. Resurrect the Demon Chief. Hearing this, a light flashed in the depths of Su Chen's eyes. To revive the demon head, the price may not be simple. I wish that Your Excellency Cheyenne Fei can complete this task as soon as possible. I still want to see the demon head style. I don't know what stage Your Excellency Cheyenne Fei has reached now. Su Chen asked. The demon head is not a simple person, so he asked this. There are still many steps to be completed. The demon head will definitely meet Su Xiaolangshao when he is born. Su Xiaolangshao, I still have some things to deal with here, so I will leave first. Cheyenne Fei did not tell the situation of the demon head and found an excuse to leave. Although she cooperated with Su Chen, she would not tell Su Chen some things. Okay. General Manager Yuan will send Cheyenne Fei off. Su Chen nodded. Yuan Suan sent Cheyenne Fei away. Su Chen looked at the 4 lottery cards he had just obtained and drew them directly, leaving the 2 cards that Leng Hushan had previously obtained as a reward for a trace of the demon dragon bloodline. Get your Adeo Artistic Perception card. Exclusive character GUI Heideo. Get 30 years of True Key. Exclusive character GUI Heideo. Get Beideo True Meaning. Exclusive character Beideo. Get lower grade spiritual weapon slashing sword. Exclusive character Beideo. Well, these are all to improve the strength of the sword cultivator. Su Chen looked at the drawer this time. His expression slightly changed. Originally, Su Chen thought of putting Beideo in King Lan Club, but now in this situation, it can be placed in Xian'er Pavilion. As for Jiang Yuan, it is not appropriate to put her in Nan Pavilion. After all, even if it is a magic change, she killed Yao Yu and Lion Crossing, not to mention that Nan Pavilion already has 2 deputy pavilion masters, so she can replace Fu Hongxue who left and become the 4 dragon heads. This will also let people know that there are many masters hidden in King Lan Club. Maybe Jiang Yuan can get in touch with Xianfei. Su Chen suddenly had this idea. There must be a lot of wool in the demon sect. If it is handed over to Jiang Yuan, she will definitely be able to get a lot of wool. What's more, it is better for women to communicate with women. Xianfei is indeed very beautiful and very charming. Although Su Chen has self-control, he cannot guarantee that he can withstand the temptation of a woman with mature charm. I just don't know what effect this woman will have. Yuan Xianhuan is surrounded by strong people. Du Guqiubei has left today and is heading to the capital. Then Jiang Yuan can only take action. As for Beideo's appearance in secret, he will take action again if necessary. Of course, if the situation is special, Su Chen also intends to take action himself. He still has Pang Ban's power, but once the power of the body is used, the heavenly gate will inevitably appear, and it will not be possible to use evasive means. Su Chen said in a deep voice. Recently, when Su Chen received the heavenly blood prison demon array sent by Xianfei had talked to him about it. To improve one's own strength, some methods can be used to block the heavenly gate, but if the power of the body is used, it is to rely on the power of the strong above the heavenly gate. The heavenly gate will inevitably appear, so the power of the body should be used as little as possible. Take a look at the map of the demon head's palace, and see where it is. We will go there, when the time comes, Su Chen exclaimed. Also, after dealing with Yuan Xianhuan tonight, distribute the secret dragon cave map. I'll see if anyone has any ideas about it, and help me take the lead. Su Chen then ordered. Jiang and Jianghu needs to be more chaotic. Distract the attention of some Jianghu warriors. Write a letter to Mirren Chen, and ask him why Zhu Pingsheng wants to kill me. I want to see what she says. Su Chen said to Yuan Suan. Su Chen has a good impression of Mirren Chen, and he really wants to see Mirren Chen's attitude. Beauty is hard to find. At this moment, Yuan Xianhuan's mansion, several people were silent, and at this time a black figure walked out of the dark. He didn't look at Sima Changhan and Lei Buhu, but came to Yuan Xianhuan's side and whispered a few words in his ear. Then he left the hall. Bang! Yuan Xianhuan's palm fell directly on the tea table beside him, and the tea table shattered instantly. Master Yuan, what happened? Seeing this, Sima Changhan spoke. Su Chen has returned. Xianfei went to see Su Chen. Master Zhu arranged for Manager Zhao to be beside Xianfei to be killed. It seems that Xianfei has noticed something and cooperated with Su Chen. Master Zhu has underestimated Xianfei. I'm afraid we need to leave Sucheng, otherwise we may not be able to leave. Yuan Xianhuan said in a deep voice. Chapter 974, Yan Kuang-tu personally visits the general's palace. The heavenly concubine seeing Su Chen gave him a bad feeling. That's why he said that. After hearing Yuan Xianhuan's words, Sima Changhan and Lei Buhu's faces condensed. Especially Sima Changhan. He pondered for a moment and said, in this case, then we will leave separately. Sima Changhan stood up and said, it is very risky to be with Yuan Xianhuan. If you leave alone, the danger will be reduced. What's more, he is ready to buy his life. He has some friendship with Su Chen. If he pays some price, he should be able to leave Sucheng alive. Sima Changhan, I know you have some friendship with Su Chen. Do you want to leave alone? This time it was Zhu Pingsheng who caused the trouble. Yushai and GNC wanted to leave. If I die, you will die within 3 days. Yuan Xianhuan looked at Sima Changhan and said, Master Yuan, you are trying to drag us into the water. The mission we received is just to deal with the heavenly concubine, and it has nothing to do with Su Chen. Sima Changhun's face turned cold. He didn't expect Yuan Xianhuan to suppress him in this way. Sima Changhun still understood Yuan Xianhuan's words. He must be sure of what he said. You just need to remember what I just said. I don't want to repeat it. You must listen to my orders now. Yuan Xianhuan said coldly. Looking at Yuan Xianhuan, Lei Buhu and Sima Changhun looked at each other and stopped talking. We can't fight with the Qinglang Club. Once we fight, whether we win or lose, we will suffer. Let's go to the garrison outside the city. Yuan Xianhuan was ready to avoid this conflict. The strength of the Qinglang Club has been concentrated in Jiangnan. Once a battle is fought, it will definitely be a fight to the death. His strength in Jiangnan is not yet able to match the Qinglang Club. Let's go, Yuan Xianhuan said. After speaking, he stood up and left, saying, leave through the secret passage. Yuan Xianhuan took the two people into a side room and entered the secret passage. When they left, Su Chen also received the message from Xianfei. Yuan Xianhuan and his men have left the city. They are fast enough. Su Chen did not expect that the other party would be so decisive. Outside the city, are they going to escape? Su Chen pondered. My lord, from the direction they left, it seems to be the garrison outside Su City. They want to use the power of the garrison to make us afraid. Then kill them before they enter the garrison. Su Chen's eyes turned cold. At this moment, in another Hainan area of Su City, the residence of General Wang Dugu was built for me. The huge mansion, the glazed golden tiles reflected the dazzling light in the sun, and there were two huge stone lions next to the door. Yan Kuangtu and Jellyfish Yinji appeared outside the general's mansion. Yan Kuangtu was burly and exuded a terrifying aura. Yan Kuangtu did not need to hide his aura. He was a madman, the world's #1 madman, and his personality was like this. He was the founder of the world's #1 gang, the Power Gang. His eyes were domineering, and his aura was fascinating. The people around him, sensing his aura, gave way one after another. Jellyfish Yinji, who was beside him, was also tall, and exuded a masculine beauty, with confidence and majesty between her eyebrows. Of course, the aura was much weaker than Yan Kuangtu's. The two of them appeared. The guards of the palace felt suffocated. Yan Kuangtu, Deputy Pavilion Master of Xian'an Pavilion, and Xu Yuing, Deputy Pavilion Master of Xian'an Pavilion South Pavilion, came to visit the great General King. Yan Kuangtu said. His voice was like a huge bell, ringing in the guards' ears. Yan Kuangtu, Deputy Pavilion Master of Xian'an Pavilion, Xu Yuing, Deputy Pavilion Master of South Pavilion. The guards knew about Xian'an Pavilion. After all, the great general's palace was cooperating with the 10 Directions General Envoy of Xian'an Pavilion. What's more, the two most famous forces in the world are Xian'an Pavilion and Qinglang Club. I will report it immediately. The guard stuttered. Then he quickly entered the palace. Inside the palace, Du Guwei was sitting in the hall with a smile on his face. Your Highness, there is news from Jiangnan that the Betrayal Tang has run into the Qinglang Society and suffered heavy losses. They are going to face off now. But it's a pity that the Huangfu family and the Diffu were also destroyed by the Qinglang Society, and our contact with the demon sect has been interrupted. Bei Yushan beside him sighed. It doesn't matter that the demon sect has split. This time, we can directly involve the Betrayal Tang. Our goal has been achieved. In this way, they can face Emperor Zhao with me and strengthen my divine power. Du Guiwei said in a deep voice. General. At this time, the guards entered the hall in a panic. Du Guiwei's face suddenly froze. What's the matter? You are so panicked. How can you be so decent? Bei Yushan beside Du Guiwei immediately scolded. General, Mr. Bei, the Deputy Pavilion Master of Xian'an Pavilion, Yan Kuangtu, and the Deputy Pavilion Master of Nun Pavilion, Shuai Yinji, are outside the door. They want to visit the general. The guard hurriedly said. What? Hearing the report, Du Guiwei's face rose. Yan Kuangtu, the Vice Chairman of Xian'an Pavilion, and Shiji Yinji, the Vice Chairman of Nun Pavilion. The Vice Chairman of Xian'an Pavilion has appeared. What is the matter with coming to Mainanhe at this time? Mr. Bei, you go and bring them in first. Du Guiwei said solemnly, and ordered Bei Yasheng to pick up Yan Kuangtu and the others. Come on, clean up the hall. Du Guiwei ordered the attendant outside. Then he walked out of the hall. He waited for Yan Kuangtu and the others to be brought in before he came out. Otherwise, the other party would definitely be dissatisfied if they knew that he was in the hall and did not pick them up. Soon Bei Yasheng brought Yan Kuangtu and Shi Jianji into the hall. Please sit down and have tea first. You two came suddenly. The prince is in the backyard. When I picked you up, I had already sent someone to invite the prince. You two, serve tea. Bei Yasheng arranged for the maid to make tea for Yan Kuangtu and Shi Jianji. He was a little horrified in his heart when he saw Yan Kuangtu just now. His mind was suppressed. The other party was too powerful. We are sorry for not entertaining you, distinguished guest. At this time, Du Guiwei stepped in from outside the hall. When he came in, he looked at Yan Kuangtu at first sight. Because the pressure from Yan Kuangtu was very terrifying, he could feel a strong breath coming towards him when he was sitting there. Greetings, Deputy Pavilion Master Yan. I'm sorry for not welcoming you in person. While speaking, he also saluted to Jellyfish Yanji. Yan Kuangtu and Jellyfish Yanji stood up, saluted Du Guiwei, and then sat down. Please have some tea, both of you. The seated General Wang Dao said. I wonder why you two are here in your mansion? General Debu, I won't beat around the bush. You have another purpose for using the North-South Canal, and we want to join in on this purpose. Yan Kuangtu said. He said he wanted to, not thought about it. Hearing Yan Kuangtu's words, Du Guiwei's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect Yan Kuangtu to come, make his purpose clear, and even get involved. For a moment, the atmosphere became solemn. Chapter 975, Pressure on Du Guiwei, a cruel warning. Why is it you, Du Guiwei, who thinks that I, Chyanaya Pavilion, have no qualifications to participate in it? Yan Kuangtu's voice became cold and stern. An invisible breath burst out from Yan Kuangtu's body, pressing towards Du Guiwei. Sensing this pressure, boom. Du Guiwei's breath burst out, and terrifying power swept out. Du Guiwei is known as the Great General King. He has been in charge of the South China Sea area for decades. He is a dominant figure with a domineering aura on his body. HMPH. Looking at the breath bursting out from Du Guiwei, Yan Kuangtu snorted coldly, and the domineering aura on his body burst out. The power bursting out from Du Guiwei instantly poured into his body like a tide. Du Guiwei's body shook and was a little unstable. In 3 days, I will come to visit again. I hope you can give me a satisfactory answer then. If I, Chyanaya Pavilion, cannot participate, then your forces in the canal basin will be cleansed. I believe you will make the right choice. Yan Kuangtu restrained his breath, stood up, and walked out of the hall. How dare you be so rude to the general? Yan Kuangtu had just stepped out of the hall. A figure rushed out. Boom. He attacked without hesitation, and in an instant, an overwhelming amount of true energy burst out from the opponent's palm and came towards Yan Kuangtu. Bang. But he hadn't gotten close to Yan Kuangtu. The true energy in his palm was shattered. The expression of the person who attacked changed. But when his expression changed, suddenly a terrifying pressure suddenly pressed towards him like a tidal wave. In an instant, he felt like he was suffocating, and the blood in his body instantly solidified. His body was fixed by the terrifying pressure, and for a moment his eyes were dark. Breathing became difficult, and he wanted to roar out. Yan Kuangtu didn't even look at him, and left. After Yan Kuangtu left, bang, the heart position exploded directly, and the whole body fell to the ground. Du Guiwei, who was sitting in the hall, had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Your Highness. Seeing this situation, Bei Yasheng beside him changed his expression and stepped forward to help Du Guiwei. Don't come near me. Du Guiwei shouted. But when he spoke, Bei Yasheng had already supported Du Guiwei with one hand. Bang. On the arm that supported Du Guiwei, a terrifying energy suddenly surged from Du Guiwei's body and poured into his palm. The outstretched right hand exploded directly, and blood splattered. Ah! Bei Yasheng screamed. The severe pain made his face become hideous. But although his right hand exploded, the energy did not stop and went up along his arm. Bei Yasheng raised his left hand and cut off his right arm directly. but this time he did not scream, but cold sweat flowed down his forehead. The palm of his hand quickly tapped the bleeding place on his right arm a few times. The arm that fell to the ground exploded directly. Your Highness, Yan Kuang-tu is bullying too much, Bei Yasheng said. Du Guiwu's face was gloomy at the moment. Not only was Yan Kuang-tu's tone arrogant, but his strength also shocked him. Contact the people in the dark, tell them about Yan Kuang-tu of Shiana Pavilion, and invite them to come and have a talk. Du Guiwu said. Yes. Bei Yasheng nodded, turned around and stepped out of the house. Looking at the corpse lying on the ground outside the door, his eyes condensed, and he said to the frightened guard beside him, buried. Then he left. In the hall, Du Guiwu's face was still ugly. He, Du Guiwu, the king of the South China Sea region of the Great Zhou dynasty, was bullied. Old Wu. Du Guiwu suddenly said. In the backyard, an old man in a grey robe walked in. This person's strength is very terrifying. I can't sense the other party's realm. He has definitely reached the broken level. It is also possible to reach the half-step transformation realm. It is best not to make an enemy of this person. The old man said. This person is so domineering. They may come in with a bigger plan. Now there are 3 families behind me. I have been restrained. If there is another one, I will become their wedding dress. Buleo Tang, I don't know their intentions, but the other 2 families are thinking that once I achieve hegemony, they will become the emperor above my head. The same must be true for Shiana Pavilion. Du Guiwu said in a deep voice. There are already 3 families, and one more is not a big deal for the prince. What's more, prince, we have opened the previous cemetery, and I have already investigated it. If the prince can grasp the things inside, his strength will definitely be further improved, and then he will be qualified to talk to them. The old man said. Hearing this, Du Guiwu's face showed joy, and the previous haze was swept away. If Shiana Pavilion wants to come in, let them come in. This will increase my confidence. I have always had a fear of Emperor Zhao in my heart. If that person hadn't participated, I wouldn't have had the slightest rebellious heart. Du Guiwu said in a deep voice. The other 3 families may not be able to let Shiana Pavilion in. It is rumored that Shiana Pavilion has many strong people, and they will be afraid. The old man said afterwards. Then let them talk. Du Gu sneered for me. Jiangnan, outside Su Chen. Several figures walked out of a secret passage. They were Yuan Xianhun, Sima Changhan and others. 15 miles away is the garrison of Sucheng. I have some friendship with the commander of the garrison in Sucheng. I can't mobilize them, but when I get to the military camp, I can secretly leave from the secret place of the military camp. Master Yuan, the world is so chaotic now. Why doesn't your majesty use the power of the military? The power of the military is the last weapon, not to mention that Yushai and Jianxi, don't you have any power? And the Jingxis in Fuxi has also changed. The princes are heading to various places. I believe the time to deter the major forces is coming. Yuan Xianhun said. It seems that Master Yuan knows His Majesty the Emperor Zhao very well. At this time, a voice came from not far away. Hearing this, the expressions of the 3 changed. Looking towards the place where the voice came from, Su Chen and Yuan Suan walked out. Su Chen. Seeing Su Chen, the 3 people's faces suddenly changed. How did you find this place? Yuan Xianhun looked at Su Chen with a serious look. We already know where you are. Later, if our King Lang Hu spies can't lock you, how can the King Lang Hu gain a foothold in Jiangnan? 3 people. I just entered the city not long ago, and I followed you out of the city again. It's also very hard. How about you leave your life here as an apology to me? Su Chen looked at Yuan Xianhun and the other 2 and said, Young Master Su, this matter has nothing to do with us. It was done by Ji Chunqiao on his own. Sima Changhan looked at Su Chen and said, Brother Sima, I treat you as a friend. Do you want me to say whether I believe it or not? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.